Welcome to the Sleepy Cosmos channel, a place where science and serenity meet. Here we explore the quiet wonders of the universe, from dark matter to string theory, all told in a calm, soothing rhythm designed to help you relax, drift, and dream among the stars. Each video is a guided journey through the cosmos, slow, meditative, and filled with real science wrapped in gentle storytelling. So if you love space, curiosity, and the peaceful side of knowledge, you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe for more new sleep narrations every week. And if you'd like to reach out for collaborations or business inquiries, you can contact us at the sleepycosmoschannel@gmail.com. Now, settle in, take a deep breath, and let's drift into the universe together. The night sky stretches above you like a quiet map of distant light. Each star glimmers softly, a small beacon in the dark, a single point in a vast geometry that extends far beyond what your eyes can grasp. Yet even as you gaze at these points of brightness, you sense that something deeper lies beneath them, something unseen, a hidden framework that holds the stars in place. Imagine standing beneath a perfectly clear night. The air is still, the world around you quiet, and the sky expands like an ancient dome of shimmering dust. From this vantage, it feels as though the universe is open, as though you are looking into an endless ocean where islands of light drift across a sea of darkness. But the darkness is not empty. It is structured quietly, gently, meticulously. It holds the stars in their orbits, keeps them tethered to invisible paths, shaping their motion with a gravitational pull that cannot be seen, but can always be felt through the language of physics. When astronomers first measured how fast stars circle the centers of their galaxies, something strange emerged. Something subtle, yet profoundly important. The stars were moving too fast, far too fast for the amount of visible matter swirling with them. Based solely on what could be seen, the stars, the gas, the dust, the outer regions of galaxies should have been drifting apart, their stars flinging outward like sparks from a spinning ember. But the stars did not fly away. They held their orbits, steady, predictable, as though bound by a hidden force. This was the first whisper of the invisible framework, a clue that the luminous galaxy was only the tip of a much larger, much quieter iceberg. The rotation curves of galaxies, simple graphs showing how fast stars rotate at different distances, became gentle, compelling evidence. Instead of dropping off with distance, as classical gravity from visible matter would predict, the curves flattened. A flat rotation curve means the stars far from the center orbit just as quickly as those closer in, a pattern that makes sense only if a vast halo of unseen mass surrounds the entire galaxy. A halo of dark matter, smooth, spherical, and extending far beyond the stars. It is a quiet gravitational cocoon, delicate yet powerful, invisible yet essential. Without it, galaxies would unravel. With it, they spin in a graceful balance. And this hidden mass reveals itself in other gentle ways, not through light, but through the soft bending of light. When distant galaxies send their glow across the universe, their light passes through the gravitational fields of foreground structures. This bending, called gravitational lensing, acts like a cosmic fingerprint, a subtle trace that shows how much mass the light encountered, and how it was shaped by it. Often, the amount of bending is far greater than the visible matter can explain. Something unseen, something quiet, something massive must be there. Dark matter, gently curving pathways of starlight, leaving signatures that can be measured, mapped, and studied. These maps reveal sprawling clouds of invisible mass, smooth distributions that cradle entire clusters of galaxies, sculpting the cosmic landscape. As you drift deeper into this quiet space, you can imagine the night sky not as a scattering of bright points, but as the visible top layer of a much deeper architecture. Each star, each glowing spiral arm, each delicate arc of light rests on a foundation of soft gravity, woven by matter that does not shine. It is as if the universe carries an internal skeleton, a hidden frame supporting every luminous feature. You see the glittering skin, but not the deep structure beneath it. Yet that structure holds nearly all the weight. The motions of galaxies themselves whisper this truth. When astronomers observe groups of galaxies swirling around one another, their speeds betray the same pattern seen in individual galaxies. Too fast, too energetic, too persistent to be held together by visible matter alone. Invisible mass must be cushioning the system, binding it, holding the galaxies in a gentle orbital dance. Like beads strung on an unseen thread, each galaxy moves through space along paths defined by the dark matter present around it. This hidden framework is not chaotic, nor jagged, nor abrupt. It is smooth, diffuse, and quiet. Dark matter clumps softly, flowing into broad halos, condensing into subtle gradients of density, guiding the luminous matter into forms we can see and admire. Even when two galaxies merge, when their stars swirl and stretch into long tidal streams, the dark matter halos pass through each other, interacting only through gravity, quietly, gently, without friction. Their pathways are serene, their motions unhurried, a cosmic ballet performed without sound. If you imagine yourself drifting inside a galaxy, you can picture the visible disk as a thin, delicate layer. Most of the mass, most of the gravity, most of the structural strength rests in the dark halo surrounding everything. It is thick, smooth, invisible, a cloud of silent matter that holds the entire galaxy together. This halo extends far beyond the faintest stars, far beyond the edge of what you can see through a telescope, out into deep, dark space. It is a reminder that what glows is not necessarily what governs, and what is unseen may hold the deepest influence. Even clusters of galaxies, massive cities of hundreds or thousands of galaxies, are shaped not primarily by the matter that shines, but by immense reservoirs of dark matter. In these clusters, the majority of the mass is invisible. The galaxies drift like small boats upon a much larger tide, held in place by gravity deeper than light can reveal. The motions of these galaxies through the cluster, the temperature of the gas between them, the patterns of gravitational lensing around them, all point toward the same conclusion. A hidden framework spans the cluster, soft, diffuse, yet enormously massive, a quiet gravitational sea on which the galaxies float. And so, when you look into the night sky, you are not merely seeing stars and galaxies, you are seeing the luminous traces of a deep, invisible network, a cosmic scaffold that shapes the positions and motions of everything you observe. The night sky becomes a window, not just to distant suns, but to the calm, hidden structure that holds the universe in place. Everything glows on the surface, but everything is cradled by what does not. This idea that the universe is built on an unseen framework is not disturbing. It is soothing. It means that the cosmos is deeper, more intricate, more graceful than what appears to the eye. It means that every star, every galaxy, every cluster of galaxies is gently held. And in this quiet understanding, you can rest as the universe rests in the slow, patient gravity of what cannot be seen, but can always be felt. Across the quiet expanse of the universe, there is a soft pattern woven into the motions of celestial bodies, a gentle rhythm, a gravitational hum, revealing itself only when you look closely enough and when you listen to the silence between the stars. Imagine drifting in a small observing craft, far from Earth, far from the interference of atmosphere, floating in the deep stillness of intergalactic space. You look toward a distant galaxy cluster, a sprawling congregation of thousands of galaxies, each moving at incredible speeds, yet held together by something more massive than what your eyes can see. The galaxies swirl, arc, and drift within an invisible gravitational basin, a basin carved not by light, but by something deeper and softer and utterly silent. The motions of these galaxies, the way they glide along unseen contours, are another clue, another quiet whisper of the hidden mass that fills the universe. Dark matter shapes their paths, like the gentle contours of a valley guiding a river, subtle, pervasive, undeniable. Astronomers measure these motions with extraordinary patience, collecting the faint glow of distant objects, listening to the wavelengths that stretch across millions of light years. From the velocity dispersions of galaxy clusters to the temperature of the hot gas that fills the space between galaxies, each observation converges on the same conclusion. There is more mass present than the stars alone can account for, a great unseen weight, spread smoothly, holding the cosmic structures in balance, a soft gravitational field, calmest where the luminous matter is brightest, yet extending far into the darkness, like a gentle pressure that shapes everything, but reveals itself only through motion and curve. Another quiet clue lies in the way dark matter forms its own structures, patterns that can be simulated through the language of physics. When scientists build simulations of the universe, they fill the early cosmos with particles that interact only through gravity, particles that do not emit light, that do not scatter, that do not glow. As the simulation evolves, these invisible particles gather into filaments, into halos, into sprawling webs of mass, and within these halos, luminous matter eventually settles, forming galaxies, clusters. And the structures we can observe, the visible universe forms atop a deeper structure, like frost tracing the surface of an unseen glass sculpture. The pattern of dark matter, the soft, invisible skeleton of the cosmos, comes first, and everything luminous follows. The simulation matches the real universe so closely, so elegantly, that it becomes one of the most persuasive pieces of evidence. A whisper, written in math and structure, suggesting that the darkness has its own quiet architecture. In the stillness of deep space, you can imagine floating through one of these halos. There are no glowing stars here, no warm nebula, no points of light, just a soft gravitational field, smooth, gentle, and nearly uniform. A sea of invisible mass in which luminous matter feels buoyed, held, guided. In this quiet environment, you could drift forever, through a space that seems empty, yet is filled with unseen particles, passing through your body, through the craft, through everything, without obstruction. Nothing glows here, nothing scatters light. Yet the mass is real, and the gravitational presence is unmistakable. Dark matter reveals itself in delicate ways, never through light, but through the behavior of light. When a massive cluster sits between you and a distant galaxy, its gravitational field bends the path of the incoming starlight, just as a lens would bend a beam. But unlike a crafted lens, with its glass and curvature, this one is made of invisible mass, quiet and diffuse. The background galaxy may appear stretched or duplicated, or wrapped into an elegant arc of light. Like a crescent formed from pure gravity, these arcs, these subtle distortions, are like fingerprints of dark matter. They allow astronomers to map the invisible, to sketch the contours of the unseen halo, to trace the soft gravitational hills and valleys that light must pass through. Nothing else in the universe can create these arcs, except mass. And when the visible matter is insufficient to explain the shape of the lens, dark matter fills the gap, not with brightness, but with presence, with quiet curvature, with soft gravitational influence, with an invisible architecture that guides the flow of light. As you drift deeper into this thought, you realize how many ways the universe whispers the same message. Stars rotate too fast, galaxies move too boldly, light bends too strongly, clusters bind too tightly, large-scale structures form too cleanly. For the visible universe alone to account for, something else is here. Something that does not shine, that does not scatter photons, that does not warm, that does not cool, that does not absorb, something that interacts with gravity and little else, something quiet, yet profoundly influential, something that makes up the majority of all matter, and yet remains unseen. There is a gentle poetry to this, a calm balance between knowledge and mystery. It says that the universe is not only what we see, but also what we can infer, what we can measure, what we can feel through the behavior of starlight and motion. It says that the cosmos is layered, that the luminous surface is only the beginning, that beneath every glowing spiral, every glittering cluster, every starry night, there is an invisible foundation. The visible world rests upon the shoulders of the unseen. Even our own galaxy, our quiet spiral drifting through the cosmos, is held by an immense dark halo, a halo that shapes the Milky Way's rotation, that supports its spiral arms, that shields the delicate balance of motion and extends far, far beyond the rim of visible stars. This halo is not jagged, not clumpy, not harsh. It is smooth, gentle, and quiet. A perfect example of gravity without light, a perfect example of a structure that is felt, not seen. When you look at the night sky, you see only the luminous edges of this structure, the glowing dust, the bright stars, the nebulae illuminated by starlight. But behind all of that, beyond the glittering veil, lies a vast sea of invisible matter. It fills the galaxy, shapes its rotation, defines its gravitational envelope. The halo is not a shell, but a softly varying field, gradually decreasing with distance, like the smooth fade of a gentle tide. And as you drift within it, you can feel the serenity of such a structure, a calm, pervasive presence that holds the galaxy in place. Dark matter reveals itself only through gravity, and gravity is the most patient of forces. It does not rush, does not shimmer, does not flash. It accumulates slowly, invisibly, steadily, holding galaxies together, guiding the dance of stars, curving the paths of light, a quiet hand shaping the cosmos. In this stillness, you can imagine the universe as a great dark ocean, with islands of starlight floating upon its surface. The islands glow brightly, but the ocean carries all the weight, and the gentle waves beneath the surface, the invisible currents that guide the islands, are the gravitational whispers of dark matter, soft, consistent, ever-present. A hidden framework beneath the shimmering sky. If you let your mind drift into the deep quiet of the cosmos, you begin to sense the subtle gravity that binds everything. Not the sharp pull of nearby planets, but the soft, pervasive, unhurried gravity that arises from something unseen. A gravity that does not flicker or glow, that does not shimmer against the cosmic background, but holds galaxies in serene embrace. This gravity is the language through which the invisible universe speaks. When astronomers map the large-scale motions of galaxies, they notice something gentle yet unmistakable. Galaxies that should drift freely through space instead drift along coherent paths, as if following the contours of invisible valleys, like leaves carried by a silent current. The galaxies are not colliding with anything, not interacting through light, not being guided by magnetic fields. They are responding purely to gravity, gravity that must come from matter. Matter that is not visible, a hidden mass, spread wide, soft and diffuse, yet massive enough to guide galaxy after galaxy along these same gentle trajectories. This is another clue, a quiet observational whisper that the universe holds more than meets the eye. Imagine that you could observe these gravitational structures directly. You would see no stars, no nebula, no galaxies, only the smooth curvature of space, gentle depressions where dark matter gathers, soft gradients where its density rises or falls. The luminous universe would appear as delicate frost, collecting along the densest ridges of this invisible landscape. Bright where the unseen structure is strongest, dim where the hidden mass thins into cosmic emptiness. In this way, light becomes a tracer of the invisible, a soft dusting of brightness that outlines the hidden architecture beneath. Scientists often describe dark matter as collisionless, meaning that its particles pass through each other, through gas, through stars, through everything. This behavior becomes profoundly clear when galaxy clusters collide. The luminous matter, gas clouds glowing in X-ray wavelengths, slams together and slows down. But the dark matter, as measured through the gravitational lensing of background galaxies, continues forward, unaffected, quiet, indifferent to the chaos of the luminous world. The dark matter drifts straight through, forming a shifted mass distribution, while the glowing gas lingers behind. This separation, this calm continuation, is one of the most striking signatures of the invisible. It shows that dark matter interacts only through gravity, not through the friction or collisions that slow ordinary matter. It moves like a silent tide, passing through all obstacles, leaving only the faint imprint of its gravitational influence, a serene, uninterrupted motion, a calm persistence. And when scientists reconstruct the gravitational field from these collisions, they see two distinct components: a glowing X-ray cloud, slowed and heated by impact, and a displaced, invisible, but measurable dark mass, quietly gliding ahead. Light reveals the chaos, gravity reveals the calm, and gravity always follows the dark matter. Because dark matter is the deeper, more voluminous, more influential component, it is the hidden skeleton of the cluster. In the quiet space between clusters, dark matter forms subtle bridges, regions where the density is low but present. These faint structures are detected through weak gravitational lensing, a technique where the shapes of millions of background galaxies are analyzed, looking for tiny, coherent distortions, barely perceptible stretches and shears. These distortions are far too small to see with the naked eye, yet when averaged across thousands, then millions of galaxies, they reveal the existence of mass that is not luminous, not visible, not shining, mass that gently distorts the geometry of space-time, curving it just enough for the faint light from distant galaxies to bend, to stretch, to twist. This technique allows astronomers to draw maps of the invisible, maps of where dark matter rests, where it gathers, where it stretches like threads across the universe. These maps show a cosmic web, thin connections linking galaxy clusters, delicate filaments spanning intergalactic distances. We will explore that web later. But even now, in this quiet observational moment, its outline begins to appear, drawn not by light, but by the shadows light casts through gravitation, a gentle, elegant, non-luminous blueprint. Another clue comes from how galaxies cluster together. Galaxies are not scattered randomly throughout the universe. They gather in groups, superclusters, and filaments, and these clustering patterns can be measured statistically with extraordinary precision. If the universe were made only of visible matter, the clustering would look very different. There would be fewer long filaments, fewer massive clusters, fewer deep gravitational wells. The observed universe is too structured, too connected, too coherent on large scales. For visible matter alone to have created it, dark matter, with its greater mass and earlier gravitational collapse, provides the missing cohesion. It draws matter into shapes we can observe, guides the growth of structure, and does so with a tranquil, unhurried steadiness, a gravity that does its work silently over immense spans of time. Even the cosmic microwave background, the faint afterglow permeating the universe, carries subtle imprints of dark matter. Tiny fluctuations, minuscule temperature differences, show how matter was distributed in the early cosmos. These fluctuations tell a very quiet story, a story of an invisible mass that was already there, already shaping the distribution of energy, already influencing the movement of the primordial plasma. The patterns are so precise, so delicate, and so well measured that the amount of dark matter can be inferred with remarkable accuracy, a soft gravitational imprint left billions of years ago and still detectable today, like a gentle fingerprint pressed into the earliest fabric of space-time. Yet through all these clues, dark matter never breaks its silence. It does not flash, does not glow, does not scatter. It speaks only through gravity, a gravity that curves space, that guides motion, that shapes the cosmos. Gravity is the only interaction dark matter shares with the luminous world, a single thread of connection, quiet, delicate, sufficient to reveal the presence of something vast. If you imagine yourself drifting in this quiet universe, you can feel that the luminous world is only the surface, the deeper structure. The framework that supports everything is dark, not dark in color, but dark in interaction, invisible to light, transparent to photons, yet massive beyond comprehension. It is a structure built not of glowing stars, but of silent mass, a gravitational blueprint, delicate yet foundational. And the more closely we look, the more quietly the universe confirms its existence, through rotations, through lensing, through clustering, through the cosmic background, through the slow dance of gravity. Everything luminous rests on this unseen architecture. If you relax your mind into the quiet gravity of the cosmos, you begin to sense a deeper truth woven beneath the stars, a truth that emerges not from brightness, but from the gentle pull that holds everything together, a truth that speaks through motion, through curve, through the way space itself bends around mass. This quiet language of gravity is the only language in which the invisible universe expresses itself. It does not glow, does not flicker, does not release even the faintest whisper of light, and yet its gravitational presence saturates the cosmos, a soft weight beneath the luminous world. As you drift deeper into this quiet understanding, you can imagine the universe as a grand tapestry, woven of both luminous and invisible threads. The luminous threads shine, forming patterns we recognize, but the invisible threads, the ones that do not glow, give the tapestry its strength, its structure, its vast coherence. Without these threads, the luminous patterns would unravel, becoming loose and disconnected. The fabric of the universe would lose its shape. Dark matter is these invisible threads, a gentle, silent scaffolding holding the cosmic design together. And the evidence for these threads, though quiet, is everywhere. In the way galaxies spin, in the way light bends, in the way structures cluster across unimaginable distances, every observation, every measurement, reveals the same consistency. Gravity behaves as though much more mass exists than what we can see, a gravitational presence that wraps around galaxies, fills clusters, and stretches across filaments of space, a presence felt through motion, through curvature, through the soft deformation of space-time. Gravity is the fingerprint, and dark matter is the unseen hand. Imagine floating near the outer edge of a spiral galaxy. The luminous disk spins slowly before you. stars tracing their long arcs around the galactic center, their path steady and unbroken. You drift far from the glowing arms, out into the dim outskirts, where the stars are sparse and the density of light falls away. Here, according to ordinary matter alone, the stars should orbit more slowly, their motion weakening with distance. Yet they do not. They continue to circle at nearly the same speed, as if held by a larger, softer, more pervasive mass. A mass you cannot see, but that must be there, wrapping the galaxy in a long, continuous, gentle halo. This halo keeps the stars from drifting away, binding them with gravity, an invisible embrace that extends far beyond the galaxy's glowing rim. A quiet presence, yet essential. And if you drift further outward still, beyond the most distant stars, beyond the faintest glow, you find yourself surrounded by pure dark matter. No light reaches you here, no stars guide your view, but gravity remains, smooth, calm, gently decreasing as you move farther from the galactic center. This region feels like the outskirts of a vast ocean, where the waters become shallower, but never disappear completely. Dark matter fills this space, forming a soft gravitational haze, a quiet reservoir of mass. Not dense, not particulate in any familiar way, but spread like a mist of unseen influence. You float in a place that appears completely empty, yet is full of the mass that holds the galaxy together. A place where the invisible outweighs the visible, by far. Now imagine turning your view to a distant galaxy cluster. Hundreds of galaxies shimmer within a broad gravitational well, their motion chaotic at first glance, some speed toward the center, others orbit in long arcing sweeps, some drift slowly outward, caught in the tidal pull of neighboring galaxies. But collectively, their motion traces the outline of an enormous unseen mass, a halo far larger than any single galaxy, spread across millions of light years. If you could see the gravitational structure directly, it would appear like an immense bowl, smooth and wide, with galaxies swirling inside like tiny boats guided by gentle currents. The luminous matter is merely decoration. The true mass lies in the invisible basin of dark matter, holding the cluster together with patient gravity. Without it, the galaxies would scatter into the void. With it, they drift in unison, a tranquil choreography written by unseen forces. Even the way light travels through this region carries the mark of the invisible. Distant galaxies lying behind the cluster send their light through the gravitational field of the dark matter, and the light bends, just slightly, barely perceptibly, but enough to leave a graceful distortion in the images we observe. Some galaxies appear stretched, like soft smudges of light. Others appear doubled, or formed into faint arcs that curl around the cluster. These arcs, these distortions, are not created by the visible galaxies. They are shaped by the halo of dark matter, the invisible mass that curves space so subtly, yet so thoroughly. The light is not aware of the invisible, but it responds to gravity, and gravity knows the mass that lies hidden. Thus, light acts as a messenger, carrying information about the unseen, tracing the contours of the invisible architecture. A soft, delicate cartography, etched not in brightness but in curvature. Another clue lies in the vast distribution of galaxies across the sky. Galaxies are not scattered randomly. They are arranged in elegant patterns, clusters connected by long filaments, filaments branching into walls and sheets, leaving behind immense voids, regions nearly empty of luminous matter. This pattern, this cosmic web, cannot be explained by visible matter alone. The luminous world does not have enough mass, nor collapses soon enough, nor forms structures on such grand scales. Dark matter, with its quiet gravitational influence, began shaping the universe early, long before luminous matter could cool, could collapse, could form atoms and stars. But even without describing early times, you can see the result now. The cosmic web is simply too coherent, too vast, too gracefully structured to arise from luminous matter. Its delicate geometry points unmistakably to the hidden foundation beneath. A structure made not of starlight, but of gentle gravitational valleys, carved by an invisible mass. And as galaxies flow along these invisible highways, their distribution becomes another quiet signature of the unseen. Even the smallest galaxies whisper this same story. Dwarf galaxies orbiting larger ones, like the Milky Way's companions, are held in place by mass they do not contain. They would be torn apart by tidal forces if they relied only on what shines. Yet they persist, held together by halos of dark matter, halos far more massive than their small populations of stars. These faint galaxies, barely visible, are some of the most dark matter-dominated structures in existence. Silent reminders that the invisible outweighs the visible, even on small scales. When you stitch all these clues together, the galaxy rotations, the lensing arcs, the cluster dynamics, the cosmic web, the tiny dwarf galaxies, the gravitational imprints, they point, gently, unwaveringly, to the same conclusion. The universe is built on a foundation of mass that does not shine. A quiet mass, a patient mass, a mass that makes up the majority of all matter, a mass we call dark matter. It reveals itself only through gravity, only through the shape of space-time, only through the graceful motions of the cosmos. Yet that is enough, more than enough, to map its presence, to understand its structure, to trace its influence, to sense the invisible scaffolding beneath the luminous world. Gravity becomes the bridge, the soft connection between the seen and the unseen, a universal language spoken by planets, stars, galaxies, and the dark matter that holds them. A language without sound, without light, purely geometric, yet profoundly expressive. And through this quiet geometry, the invisible universe reveals itself, subtle, gravitational, serene, a gentle architecture beneath all things. If you allow your awareness to drift deeper into the quiet spaces of the cosmos, you begin to sense not only that the universe is held by an invisible mass, but that the nature of this mass is unlike anything familiar. It is not built from atoms, not crafted from protons or electrons, not woven from the particles that make up stars, planets, your body, or anything luminous. It is something different, something quieter, something that exists alongside ordinary matter, but does not share its interactions. A presence without light, without charge, without the familiar touch of electromagnetic force. A form of matter that remains unseen, not because it hides, but because its very nature does not allow it to shine. If you picture the universe as a vast sea, ordinary matter would be the shimmering foam at the surface, glittering briefly in the light. Dark matter would be the still water beneath, calm, deep, carrying almost all the mass, yet revealing none of its interior movement. Ordinary atoms speak through light, but dark matter remains silent. It does not absorb light, does not emit it, does not reflect it. Photons pass straight through, untouched, unbent by electromagnetic interaction. It is a substance defined by absence, defined by the forces it does not engage with. And yet, through gravity, it shapes the cosmos. The particles that make up ordinary matter are familiar in their complexity. Protons, neutrons, electrons, forming atoms, binding into molecules, creating the chemistry of stars, of oceans, of life. But dark matter does not dance in this chemical world. It does not form atoms, does not bind into molecules, does not ignite in the cores of stars. It moves through us, through the earth, through the sun, with nearly no interaction. Trillions of particles drifting effortlessly through your body each second, leaving no trace, no warmth, no signal. A ghost-like presence, real, massive, but silent. Scientists have proposed gentle possibilities, soft hypotheses about what these particles might be. One idea describes them as WIMPs, weakly interacting massive particles, massive enough to anchor galaxies, yet so reluctant to interact that they pass through ordinary matter unnoticed. Another idea whispers of axions, tiny particles that behave more like waves, permeating space in smooth fields, difficult to detect, yet capable of forming enormous reservoirs of mass. Some imagine sterile neutrinos, cousins of the known neutrinos, yet even more elusive. All of these possibilities share a quiet theme. They interact so faintly with the luminous world that light does not reveal them. Yet their mass, their gravity, is immense. A paradox of presence without appearance, a riddle the universe leaves for us to unravel. If you imagine drifting through a cloud of dark matter particles, there would be no sound, no light, no sensation. The particles would slide past you, through the vessel in which you drift. Even if you were surrounded by an ocean of them, you would feel nothing. It is a form of matter that does not collide, does not scatter, does not resist. It simply passes, as softly as moonlight across calm water. Yet despite this gentle indifference to the familiar forces, its gravitational pull is undeniable. It shapes galaxies, weighs down clusters, carves the geometry of the cosmic web, a quiet architect, invisible yet foundational. The universe contains far more dark matter than ordinary matter. The luminous world is the exception, a small, glowing embroidery on a vast, invisible tapestry. This imbalance shapes everything. Ordinary matter falls into the gravitational wells created by dark matter, gathering like mist into the deepest valleys, forming stars, disks, and galaxies. In this sense, dark matter creates the scaffolding, the cosmic framework into which ordinary matter settles. A scaffold not built of beams or walls, but of pure gravity. If you could see this scaffold directly, you would witness enormous halos, smooth and round, stretching far beyond the regions where stars reside. You would see faint bridges between galaxies, delicate streams of invisible particles, guiding the motions of entire systems. You would see clusters wrapped in cocoons of unseen mass, their galaxies drifting like fireflies within a quiet chamber. And you would see the Milky Way, floating inside its own dark halo, a luminous disk embedded in a sphere of silent matter, vast, smooth, and ancient. This halo is not uniform, but it is calm. Its density decreases gently with distance, like the soft receding of a tide on a tranquil shore. Near the center, the density grows deeper, stronger, yet never turbulent. The particles move swiftly, but without the collisional chaos of ordinary gases. Their interactions are almost non-existent, so the halo remains smooth, undisturbed, like a vast cloud drifting with perfect quiet. And as the Milky Way rotates within this halo, the dark matter holds it together, supporting its spiral arms, maintaining the weight of its stars, a silent backbone, barely perceptible, yet essential. If you drift outward from the Milky Way, past the disk, past the faintest halo stars, you enter a region composed almost entirely of dark matter. Nothing glimmers here, nothing reflects light. It is a domain defined by invisibility, yet saturated with mass. It feels like floating in the deep ocean at night, where everything appears black, yet the water around you is full, dense, and silently supportive. This region of pure dark matter extends for hundreds of thousands of light years, far beyond the luminous boundary, a soft ocean of unseen particles drifting in silence. Some scientists imagine that dark matter may not be entirely particle-like, that it may behave instead like a vast field, smooth and continuous, as though space itself contains a gentle, invisible substance, an ocean not made of individual drops, but of continuous flowing waves. In this vision, dark matter becomes almost like a fluid pervading the cosmos, creating large-scale gravitational tides and influencing the motions of galaxies in serene, consistent ways. Whether particle or field, dark matter forms structures unlike anything in the luminous universe, structures without atoms, without friction, without heat, structures built from gravity alone, calm, persistent, quiet. Picture yourself drifting near one of these invisible structures. There is no boundary, no sudden edge, only a soft gradient, a gentle easing of density. You might pass through the central regions, where the dark matter density is at its calmest peak. Then drift outward, where the density decreases slowly, like mist thinning as you rise above a valley. Nothing blocks your motion, nothing pushes back, nothing interrupts the drift. You simply move through an invisible sea, guided only by the silent pull of gravity, a reminder that most of the universe is not made of what shines, but of what holds. Imagine now the possibility that dark matter fills not only halos, but vast regions of space between galaxies, that it forms subtle, unseen currents, slow flows that guide the movement of entire clusters. These currents would be cold, quiet, gently streaming across intergalactic distances, an invisible wind, never felt yet always present. If these currents exist, then galaxies drift within them, not through empty voids, but through oceans of calm particles, as if sailing within a still, transparent sea. This image is not proven, but it is consistent with many gentle hypotheses. The dark universe may contain oceans we cannot see, waves we cannot detect, yet tides that steer galaxies through the vastness, silent currents, shaping motion on unimaginable scales. And in the quiet of this cosmic sea, you begin to appreciate the serenity of the invisible. Dark matter does not flicker like starlight, does not burn like fusion, does not explode like supernova, it does not collide, does not spark, does not glow. It simply exists, massive, calm, patient, giving the universe its structure, its weight, its soft gravitational architecture. And the more we learn, the more it feels like dark matter may not be a strange anomaly, but a fundamental component of reality, a quiet background, upon which all luminous things are drawn. Here in this calm space, you begin to feel the presence of the unseen, not through vision, but through understanding, through the soft gravitational logic that shapes the cosmos. You feel the gentle unity between the luminous and the invisible, between what glows and what holds. A cosmic partnership, ancient, balanced, beautiful. And in this vast silence, your awareness slows. Your breath eases, your mind settles, as if the invisible universe, with all its quietness, is guiding you into rest. If you imagine yourself drifting just beyond the luminous disk of the Milky Way, you enter a region where starlight fades, where dust and gas grow thin, and where the familiar glow of the visible universe dissolves into a quiet, velvety darkness. This space is not empty. It is filled with an unseen stillness, a smooth field of mass that wraps around the galaxy like a soft, transparent sphere. This is the halo, the silent home of the invisible. And even though nothing shines here, nothing flickers, nothing scatters light, the gravitational presence is unmistakable, a calm, gentle weight reaching far beyond the galaxy's rim. The particles that make up this vast halo, if they are particles at all, move in quiet streams, unseen currents that flow through the galaxy without resistance. These currents are cold, not in temperature as you feel it, but in motion. Their velocities are swift, yet stable. Their distribution steady and tranquil. There is no friction here, no turbulence, no collisions. The particles pass through one another, through stars, through planets, through the Earth, through you. And they do this with perfect indifference, leaving no trace behind. They drift like faint shadows moving through a deeper shadow, never stirring the luminous world, yet shaping it all the same. This quiet passing is a clue, a suggestion that dark matter interacts with ordinary matter almost not at all. Electromagnetic forces, the forces that shape atoms, bind molecules, and sculpt the visible world, barely touch the dark matter particles. It is as though dark matter belongs to a different layer of reality, one that overlaps the familiar world, yet does not mingle with it. Two realms interwoven but interacting through gravity alone. Gravity becomes the bridge, the only connection between the luminous and the invisible. A thread of influence, soft, persistent, binding both realms into a single cosmic structure. If you drift outward farther still, hundreds of thousands of light years from the galactic center, you find yourself in a domain where the dark matter density becomes even more tranquil. The motions of the particles remain swift, but the currents are smooth, undisturbed. Like wind moving across an endless plain in perfect silence, the halo extends beyond anything the eye can perceive, stretching into regions where the Milky Way's gravitational pull softly tapers off. This halo is enormous, far larger than the luminous galaxy. The stars are just a tiny glowing bead in its center, a delicate pearl nestled inside a vast invisible shell, a shell made not of solid structure, but of pure gravitational influence, a quiet architecture, shaping everything within. Some physicists imagine that dark matter may not consist of discrete particles at all, but of a smooth, wave-like field, filling space the way a deep, silent ocean fills the seafloor valleys. In this view, the Milky Way's halo is not a cloud of particles passing through one another, but a vast, coherent field, rippling gently with cosmic motion. These ripples would be subtle, slow, spread across light years, like the most delicate tides, changing over expanses of space and time too large to sense directly. You would never feel these tides, never see them, but the galaxy would be shaped by them, guided by their silent presence. A cosmic ocean, without waves that break, but full of motion nonetheless. Others picture dark matter as particles so light, so delicate, that they behave collectively, their wave-like nature overlapping and merging. These particles would form enormous structures, not through collision or pressure, but through quantum coherence on a cosmic scale. In this vision, dark matter becomes less like a cloud of dust, and more like a vast, smooth liquid, filling the spaces between stars with a serene, undisturbed flow, a liquid of gravity, transparent and cold, guiding the motion of galaxies in silence. And if dark matter is made of heavier particles, the WIMPs imagined by many, then the halo becomes a sea of individual particles, drifting through space, passing through planets, through stars, through everything. This ocean is vast, but so gentle that nothing in the luminous world feels its presence. The Earth moves through this sea constantly, sailing through invisible currents, bathed in an unending flux of particles. Yet the particles leave no mark, no warmth, no glow. Their presence is known only through gravity, through the way they shape the Milky Way's rotation, through the way they lend mass to the galaxy, through the way they hold the stars in their long orbits. Gravity is their language, their signature, their soft imprint on space-time. Whichever form dark matter takes, particle cloud, cold field, quantum wave, or unseen ocean, all possibilities share a serene and beautiful quality. Dark matter is calm. It does not ignite, does not fuse, does not collide violently, does not radiate. It does not form flames or storms or explosions. It simply exists, quietly, gently, a stable background that cradles the luminous world. The visible universe sparkles on top of this quiet foundation, much like a thin layer of stars floating on a deep, transparent sea. As you drift in this thought, you begin to sense that most of the universe is made of calmness, not chaos. Of stillness, not light. The stars are the exceptions, flickering embers in an overwhelmingly dark yet peaceful cosmos. And dark matter, in all its invisible serenity, is the quiet majority, the silent backbone, the soft architecture, the hidden weight that steadies the universe. Now imagine drifting through the Milky Way's halo as if you were suspended in a gentle dream. The stars are distant, small, and quiet. Around you, nothing glows, yet you are surrounded by mass, by substance, by the gravitational fabric that supports the galaxy. You feel no wind, no pressure, no collisions, only the faint awareness of being immersed in something subtle, something ancient, something that has existed since the earliest moments of cosmic structure. A substance that moves with galaxies, flows with clusters, and forms the underlying stage on which the luminous universe performs its brilliant, delicate dance. And farther outward still, you imagine drifting into a region between galaxies, a space even darker, more tranquil. Here, the invisible ocean may extend in sweeping currents, threads of unseen mass that link galaxy to galaxy, forming rivers of gravity across the cosmic landscape. These rivers contain no water, no particles of light, only the soft pull of mass. Clusters drift along them, slowly, patiently, guided by tides you cannot see. It is possible, even likely, that entire cosmic volumes are filled with these invisible oceans, waves of dark matter moving gently across billions of light years. And though you cannot see these oceans, their presence is written across the motion of the luminous world. Galaxies fall toward one another, not through empty voids, but through these vast unseen currents, an invisible hydrodynamics, silent, peaceful, and grand. And in the stillness of this understanding, you feel the calmness of the universe settling around you. Most of everything is invisible, yet structured, ordered, quiet. Most of everything is calm, not violent, not chaotic. The luminous cosmos is the exception, a gentle flicker atop a dark, patient symphony. Dark matter is the quiet conductor, guiding structure, shaping form, holding galaxies, supporting the architecture of the universe. And as you drift deeper into this thought, you too feel supported, held by the quiet understanding that the universe is shaped not only by what shines, but by what rests in silence, what remains unseen yet ever present, what holds everything, gently. If you imagine drifting far beyond the outer edges of the Milky Way's glow, into regions where the luminous world completely dissolves, you enter a space so quiet, so dark, so untouched by starlight, that the only presence remaining is the invisible one. Dark matter stretches through this region like a vast, unbroken sea, a sea with no waves, no surface, no shimmer, yet it has depth and weight and gentle gravitational pressure. It fills space not with light, but with presence. A presence so calm, so patient, that it becomes the silent backdrop of the cosmos. Imagine this ocean not as emptiness, but as a medium, a quiet cosmic substance, a substance through which galaxies drift, clusters glide, and filaments extend like currents beneath the surface. Some scientists imagine this substance as a dark plasma of particles, cold and non-interacting, moving in a tranquil flow. Others imagine it as a continuous field, smooth and delicate, flowing across space like a low-frequency tide. And still others picture it as quantum matter spread across enormous scales, behaving collectively, as though the universe itself were filled with a soft, invisible liquid. Each possibility carries its own serenity, its own quiet logic. Each paints the dark universe not as a void, but as an ocean, a cosmic ocean, silent, deep, and foundational. If you imagine drifting through one of these invisible oceans, you encounter no resistance, no drag, no sensation. Dark matter would pass through you effortlessly, like a soft breeze you cannot feel, yet which carries the mass of the galaxy itself. It is a paradox of presence without touch, mass without interaction, substance without sensory imprint. The ocean surrounds you, yet you feel nothing. Its particles stream past, quiet, numerous, unconcerned with the atoms of your body. All that binds you to them is gravity, the universal whisper that everything with mass responds to. Even here, in the depths of the invisible, gravity guides both you and the dark matter through the same curvature of space. You drift together, interacting only through the soft geometry of space-time, the gentlest of forces, binding the two realms. The scale of this ocean extends far beyond the Milky Way. Between galaxies where luminous matter grows sparse, dark matter still holds its presence. It flows through intergalactic space, forming vast, invisible rivers. These rivers are not like water, not like air, not like any familiar fluid. They are streams of gravity, currents of mass, shaping the motion of galaxies over billions of years. The galaxies fall toward one another along these dark currents, drifting through the invisible as naturally as leaves drifting along a breeze. They move not through emptiness, but through a gently textured gravitational landscape, a landscape sculpted by the unseen. And these invisible rivers connect larger structures, bridging clusters of galaxies across colossal distances. Imagine two galaxy clusters separated by hundreds of millions of light-years, their luminous members drifting slowly within vast halos. Between them lies a filament, a long, thin structure of dark matter, stretching across the void. This filament is not illuminated, but it tugs on galaxies, guides their trajectories, shapes the spine of the cosmic web. The galaxies gather at the intersections of these filaments, forming nodes in a quiet, interconnected network, a network woven not from light, but from the gravitational pull of the invisible. The luminous world is simply draped across its surface. Stars trace its outline, galaxies highlight its intersections, clusters rest at its densest nodes. Every bright object hangs like a lantern along a dark, hidden scaffold. These invisible oceans may be smooth, or structured, or laced with subtle variations in density. Some models suggest that dark matter forms ripples, waves spreading through the cosmic ocean over immense scales. These waves would be unimaginably long, stretching across millions of light-years, their crests and troughs shaping the distribution of galaxies. Imagine a slow, cosmic tide moving through the dark universe, shifting the gravitational landscape with exquisite subtlety. Galaxies would respond to these tides not with sudden motion, but with a quiet drift, a long, patient migration along the soft contours of mass. Over cosmic distances, these tides sculpt the large-scale structure of everything that glows, and yet they remain entirely invisible. Not because they are hidden, but because their nature produces no light. Only gravity reveals them, gravity carving its gentle mark on the architecture of the luminous world. You may imagine yourself floating within this dark ocean, watching it stretch in every direction, boundless and calm. Nothing disturbs the stillness. No bursts of radiation, no scattering of photons, no flicker of charged particles. It is a world defined by silence. Silence not as emptiness, but as composure, a kind of cosmic tranquility, a deep, pervasive stillness that underlies the entire universe. Dark matter does not roar with fusion, does not blaze like starlight, does not erupt like supernovae. It rests, a gravitational sea, perfectly calm, perfectly steady, supporting the luminous universe the way deep water supports a floating island. The stars are the islands, brief sparks above the surface. The dark ocean is the foundation, bearing their weight. Even in regions we call voids, places where almost no galaxies exist, dark matter may still linger, thin, diffuse, quiet. Voids are not empty. They contain the faintest wisps of the invisible ocean, soft tides that barely influence motion, yet still follow the logic of gravity. And in the deepest parts of these voids, the stillness becomes profound. Imagine drifting into one of these regions, where galaxies are distant, where light is scarce, where the luminous world recedes into faint specks. You are surrounded by an almost featureless sea, a vast expanse of dark matter so thin you feel as though you are floating in pure calm. It is a serenity unique to the universe, a place where silence is not the absence of sound, but a presence in itself. An enormous, expansive calm, a calm that stretches across millions of light-years. The halo surrounding the Milky Way shares this calm, but it is denser, more structured, more gravitationally present. Within it, the invisible ocean organizes itself into a soft gradient, a delicate profile of mass that shapes the motion of stars. This gradient is smooth, with no edges, no walls, no surfaces, just the gentle decrease of density, as if the cosmic ocean deepens near the center and becomes shallower as you drift outward. The dark matter does not clump into small structures, not in the way ordinary matter clumps. It does not form planets, does not form stars, does not coalesce into glowing spheres. It remains diffuse, spread across enormous scales, held together not by collisions or pressure, but by gravity alone. And so the halo remains smooth, unbroken, an enormous globe of tranquility, a sphere of silence, cradling the luminous disk at its center. Some models suggest that the halo may contain streams, narrow currents of dark matter left behind by ancient interactions. If these streams exist, they pass through the Milky Way silently, too subtle to detect with light, but carrying small variations in gravitational pull. You may imagine drifting alongside one of these streams, floating through a faint, invisible river. You feel no motion, no temperature, no boundary, yet the current glides past you, as if the universe itself breathes in slow, gentle tides. Each stream is faint, delicate, almost indistinguishable from the surrounding ocean. But collectively, they form a living texture within the halo, a tapestry of unseen motion, woven from mass that leaves no luminous signature. Only gravity feels its touch. The possibility of entire invisible oceans of dark matter, vast, deep, and serene, is supported not only by models, but by the behavior of galaxies themselves. Galaxies do not drift through emptiness, they move through these oceans. Their trajectories curve gently, their clusters gather softly. Their filaments stretch into graceful arcs, all because the invisible mass beneath them flows, shifts, and settles in ways too subtle for light to reveal. The luminous universe is a thin layer of foam on top of a cosmic sea, a sea that carries the weight of everything. And you, in this moment of quiet reflection, float in that sea as well, suspended in the same invisible medium that holds the stars, the galaxies, the cosmic web, a medium that does not glow, but guides, does not shine, but supports, does not speak in light, but speaks in gravity, a silent, calming symphony of mass. Here in this deep serenity, you begin to sense the true nature of the invisible universe. It is not chaotic, not violent, not noisy. It is gentle, patient, still. A calm so vast, so pervasive that it becomes the very atmosphere of the cosmos. A calm that holds galaxies together, guides their motion, shapes the web of structure, and supports the glowing world of stars. A calm that fills space, not with light, but with stability. A calm that radiates not outward, but inward, into your breath, your mind, your awareness. A calm that reminds you that the universe is held together not by what shines, but by what rests in silence, what carries the weight of everything, with perfect tranquility, what supports the luminous world with invisible grace. Imagine drifting outward, far beyond the familiar glow of the Milky Way, into the quiet, expansive darkness, where distance no longer feels like a measure of separation, but a gentle unfolding. Here, the universe reveals one of its most graceful structures, not in light, but in shape, not in brightness, but in arrangement, a hidden architecture woven from the gravity of the invisible, a structure so vast, so serene, that galaxies themselves become soft ornaments resting along its threads. This is the cosmic web, a quiet, interconnected lattice, stretching across billions of light years, binding the luminous world within the unseen. If you allow your mind to float into this space, you begin to sense how galaxies do not simply appear where they please. They gather along invisible pathways, drawn into place by the gentle pull of dark matter. Dark matter moves first, silent and patient, forming long strands that extend through the darkness like delicate filaments. These filaments are not narrow in the human sense. Some are millions of light years wide, their length spanning across cosmic horizons. Galaxies form only afterward, settling along these unseen strands, as though the luminous universe were draping itself over a hidden scaffolding. This is how dark matter shapes everything, not by force, but by gravitational invitation, a quiet pulling together, a soft organization, a steady flow. If you drift closer to one of these filaments, you would not see edges or walls or anything resembling a structure built with light. You would see galaxies strung along its length like distant lanterns, faint clusters glowing softly, their shapes suspended within an invisible river of mass. Inside this river, dark matter flows gently, smoothing the distribution of gravity, directing the motion of galaxies toward one another. Its density is greatest along the center of the filament and slightly lighter toward the edges, a soft gradient, smooth and continuous. This gradient shapes the paths of galaxies the way a quiet current guides a drifting leaf. Not sudden, not forceful, but a steady, unhurried influence, an influence that transforms the vast emptiness of space into a connected, harmonious system. Sometimes, where several filaments intersect, gravity deepens, forming a basin, an invisible valley. These valleys become the gravitational homes of galaxy clusters. Imagine a region where dark matter has pooled, gathered through cosmic time into an immense, subtle depression. A depression so large that thousands of galaxies sink into it, forming a cluster, held together by the quiet weight of dark matter beneath. These clusters are not isolated. They sit at the junctions of the cosmic web, where threads of dark matter converge like rivers flowing into a lake. Each cluster becomes a brilliant node, a glowing oasis surrounded by faint tendrils of galaxies stretching outward. The visible world outlines the invisible. The luminous matter simply settles into the geometry sculpted by dark matter, a gentle choreography, with dark matter as the guiding hand. If you could observe this structure from far above, as if viewing the universe from a vantage point beyond space, you would see something astonishing. Vast voids, immense, nearly empty regions, spreading like dark lakes across the cosmic landscape. Between them, thin filaments of galaxies weave a delicate network, connecting superclusters in an intricate lattice. This entire pattern resembles neurons, lightning veins, the branches of immense cosmic trees. Yet its true substance is not made of light or gas, but of the calm gravitational mass of dark matter. It is a map not of stars, but of structure itself. The cosmic web is the skeleton of the universe, a skeleton that glows only where stars gather along its deepest curves. As you drift deeper into one of the filaments, you can sense how the galaxies within it are not randomly arranged. Their motions reflect the gravitational flow, slowly streaming toward denser regions, toward clusters and superclusters. Every motion, every orbit, every drift is shaped by the gravitational landscape beneath, a landscape carved by dark matter. Even the smallest fluctuations in the distribution of dark matter, slight variations in density across millions of light years, influence how galaxies move. These variations are subtle, dreamlike, gentle ripples in the fabric of mass. The galaxies respond like particles drifting along a calm slope, following paths determined not by bright matter, but by the unseen. Dark matter does not illuminate the cosmic web, it creates it. The luminous world only reveals the outline. You can imagine galaxies as glowing leaves floating on a quiet river, their positions determined by the depth and curvature of the water beneath. Where the river deepens, the leaves gather. Where the water flows, the leaves drift. But the river itself, the structure, the channels, the currents, remains unseen. This is the essence of the cosmic web. Galaxies are the glowing leaves. Dark matter is the river, silent, shaping, enduring. Now think of a supercluster, a vast collection of galaxy clusters, bound together by gravity across hundreds of millions of light years. These superclusters sit at the densest nodes of the cosmic web. Their enormous mass forms deep wells in the gravitational landscape, wells carved not only by visible galaxies, but overwhelmingly by dark matter. Within these wells, thousands of galaxies orbit and drift, each one influenced by the gravitational contours beneath it. The visible matter provides only a small fraction of the gravity. The rest, the overwhelming majority, comes from the dark matter structures underlying everything. And those structures are calm, vast, and ancient. They shift only slowly, over billions of years. Their changes spread across cosmic time. Their stillness gives the cosmic web its stability. Their gravity gives the web its shape. If you drift outward from a supercluster's core, you begin to feel the filaments stretching away, narrow channels of mass connecting to other clusters. These filaments are not uniform. Their mass densities vary gently. Their shapes curve according to the subtle pull of surrounding structures. They are flexible, yet stable. They respond to the gravitational environment around them, yet maintain coherence over unimaginable distances. Some extend straight, others fork, others arc gracefully through space. Each filament carries galaxies like quiet caravans moving through the dark. Their motion is slow, methodical, guided by the invisible hands of dark matter. Over eons, galaxies drift along the filaments toward deeper gravitational wells, pulled by the quiet mass concentrated there. This slow inward drift is called gravitational infall. But in the soft, meditative stillness of the cosmic web, it feels less like falling and more like drifting gently toward a place of rest. The cosmic web is not static. Dark matter continues to flow, to clump, to stretch, to reorganize. But its changes are slow, spread across expanses of time too vast to comprehend. The web grows, yet maintains its character, its pattern of filaments and nodes. It is like a living structure, growing quietly. Its branches expanding as the universe expands. The galaxies ride along these branches, their positions determined by the deep gravity of the web beneath. The luminous world's evolution, its clustering, its shape, its distribution, is merely the visible expression of this deeper, darker architecture. The architecture of calmness, the architecture of gravity, the architecture of the unseen. If you imagine floating between filaments, in the vast voids that occupy most of the universe's volume, you feel a striking contrast. The voids are enormous, regions where almost no galaxies exist, but they are not truly empty. They contain dark matter, thin and diffuse, spread so lightly that its gravitational pull feels almost imperceptible. The voids expand faster than the filaments, their low density allowing space itself to stretch more freely. The filaments resist, their higher density slowing the expansion, pulling matter inward. This contrast gives the cosmic web its shape. Voids expand, filaments remain coherent, clusters deepen, and the invisible scaffold becomes more distinct with time. The universe is not uniform, it is textured, shaped by the quiet gravity of dark matter, woven into patterns that reveal themselves through the motion of galaxies, patterns that speak without light, without sound, patterns that emerge from calmness. The geometry of the cosmic web is elegant, flowing, organic. It is not rigid or crystalline, but fluid, responsive, a natural consequence of gravitation acting over immense scales. The web is characterized by three main structures: filaments, nodes, and voids, each shaped by dark matter, each held in balance, each part of a vast gravitational tapestry. This tapestry stretches farther than any instrument can see, beyond the cosmic horizon, beyond the reach of light itself, yet its influence is everywhere. In every galaxy's motion, in every cluster's mass, in every large-scale pattern we observe. The cosmic web is the universe's quiet architecture, a blueprint drawn not in ink, but in gravity, a structure revealed not by light, but by the way lighted things arrange themselves, a hidden geometry beneath all things luminous. And as you drift through this structure, you feel its serenity, its patience, its infinite scale. The cosmic web does not rush, does not vibrate with urgency, does not pulse with chaotic motion. It flows gently, curves smoothly, holds galaxies in soft gravitational arms. It offers a vision of the universe not as a chaotic explosion, but as a calm, organized, deeply connected whole. A universe shaped by the quiet presence of something invisible, something steady, vast, and peacefully influential, something that we call dark matter, a substance that creates the stage, the shape, the architecture of everything, allowing the luminous world to shine only where the invisible has already prepared a place. If you let your mind drift across the quiet expanses of the cosmic web, you begin to recognize something subtle, something profoundly important. Galaxies do not form in isolation. They emerge in the places where dark matter has gathered most deeply, where gravity has sculpted gentle wells in the invisible landscape, inviting gas, dust, and eventually starlight to collect and ignite. The formation of every galaxy begins not with light, but with darkness. Not with gas cooling into stars, but with dark matter settling into a quiet, stable configuration. The dark matter moves first, forming a halo, a gravitational cocoon. Only then does visible matter find its place, drifting inward, cooling, collapsing, until the first stars glow within the embrace of the invisible. In this sense, dark matter guides the birth of galaxies, not through violent motion, but through calm persistence. Its gravity provides the structure, the blueprint, the silent architecture upon which the luminous world builds itself. If you could stand in the distant past, not in time, but in understanding, and watch a galaxy assembling itself, You would see dark matter drawing material inward long before the first star flickered. Gas clouds respond to the gravitational curves, flowing toward the densest regions, compressing gently. The earliest lights of a galaxy form within this dark foundation, as if stars are the quiet sparks of a deeper, hidden structure. And the galaxy grows, spread across its halo, stabilized by the invisible mass that surrounds it. Without dark matter, the stars would not hold together. The spiral arms would not persist. The galaxy would not maintain its shape. The luminous disk is only possible because of the dark. The quiet gravity of the halo is the skeletal frame, keeping everything aligned, steady, serene. The cosmic filaments deepen this picture. They are not merely bridges between clusters. They are the roots through which galaxies form and flow. Gas drifts along these filaments, funneled by the soft gravity of dark matter, gathering into knots where the density becomes higher. These knots are the birthplaces of new galaxies, and as more mass collects, the knots grow into groups and then into clusters. The filaments guide material toward these nodes, feeding galaxies like gentle rivers nourishing the basins they flow into. The universe becomes a system of currents and pools, all shaped by the invisible. It is a cosmic hydrology, but with mass instead of water and gravity instead of pressure. The web does not merely connect galaxies, it gives rise to them. If you drift along one of these filaments, you sense a kind of gravitational quietude, a steady pull toward regions of deeper mass. This pull is not sudden, but soft, persistent, guiding galaxies slowly along the filament's spine. Their motion is not like objects falling, but like bodies drifting toward equilibrium, settling into the gravitational valleys that dark matter has sculpted. These valleys do not have rigid walls or sharp boundaries. They are smooth depressions, formed by broad distributions of invisible mass. Galaxies slide gently into them, finding rest in the deepest curves, and once settled, they swirl together, forming clusters whose shapes trace the underlying geometry of the dark matter. Clusters are not random gatherings. They are the natural endpoints of cosmic flow. Places where dark matter's gravity is strongest, most coherent, most gently binding. If you imagine moving within one of these clusters, you feel the enormous gravity holding everything in a slow, silent dance. Thousands of galaxies orbit one another, their motions guided not by their visible masses, but by the immense dark matter halo surrounding the cluster. This halo is vast, far larger than the luminous cluster. It deepens the gravitational well, gently pulling galaxies into long, slow orbits. The galaxies do not collide often. The space between them is too large. Instead, they drift, like glowing islands floating within a calm, invisible lake. This lake of dark matter is not turbulent, not chaotic. Its density varies smoothly, forming a quiet basin in which all the luminous matter rests, and where several filaments feed the cluster, you feel the gravitational currents entering from multiple directions. Soft streams of unseen mass converging. These streams shape the cluster's structure, guiding galaxies into its depths. It is a serene convergence, a gravitational harmony. If you rise above the cluster and drift outward again, the cosmic web reveals its greater geometry. The voids stretch wide, profoundly empty of visible galaxies, yet containing faint traces of dark matter. The filaments thread between them, thin but deep. Highways of invisible mass linking the luminous nodes. These filaments are often curved, graceful arcs shaped by neighboring gravitational fields. Some are pulled toward massive clusters, their paths bending gently as they approach, like rivers drawn to the sea. Others stretch between two comparable clusters, forming almost straight bridges. The geometry is balanced, fluid, responsive, not rigid, not geometric in the Euclidean sense. It is an organic geometry, the natural result of gravity acting on matter across unimaginable scales. Dark matter does not form cubes or grids or crystalline lattices. It forms curves, branches, webs, structures that resemble the roots of trees, the filaments of fungi, the networks of neurons, patterns that emerge wherever complexity and connectivity arise. This is the calm geometry of the cosmic web, a geometry drawn by gravity's hand, steady, unhurried, and universally consistent. The web structure spans the largest scales known, yet its influence reaches down into every galaxy, every star, every orbit. The local order of the universe, its spirals, its clusters, its shapes, is determined by the global order of the web. Galaxies form where filaments allow them to, Clusters sit where filaments converge, voids expand where dark matter thins. Every luminous pattern is an echo of the invisible one, a quiet reflection, a visible tracing, a luminous outline. The cosmic web is the universe's framework, but also its quiet aesthetic. It gives shape not only to matter, but to motion and balance and structure. And in its silence, it reveals something deeply peaceful, that the universe, despite its vastness, is connected, that everything luminous rests upon threads of the unseen, that the cosmos is not scattered randomly, but arranged with gentle coherence, that beneath the flickering stars, beneath the glowing galaxies, beneath the entire luminous world, there exists a calm, invisible, gravitational grace, a structure shaped by dark matter, softly guiding everything into place. A cosmic web, quiet and eternal, woven from the gravity of the unseen. The universe stretches outward in every direction, a vast, nearly ungraspable expanse where distances blur into abstraction, and yet within that immensity, a delicate order persists, an architecture too subtle to shine, too gentle to scatter light, and yet powerful enough to shape everything we see. Dark matter forms the quiet backbone of this order, an invisible geometry holding the cosmos in its calm, steady gravitational embrace. When we look at the grand tapestry of galaxies, we see islands of starlight drifting across the cosmic sea, but what we do not see, what the eye can never capture, is the underlying map of mass, a map defined not by light, but by gravity. The cosmic web, a network so immense, so intricate, that even our largest telescopes can only trace hints of its form. The luminous beads of galaxies strung along filaments of unseen matter, like dew collecting along threads of an immense, invisible spiderweb. And at the heart of this structure lies the quiet guidance of dark matter. Galaxies did not simply appear where they happened to form, nor did they scatter randomly across space. They were drawn, slowly, over cosmic ages, toward the gravitational contours laid out by dark matter. Imagine a landscape at night, only the peaks are lit, while the valleys remain in shadow. The galaxies are those peaks, bright enough to be seen, but their placement, their clustering, their patterns across the sky, are governed by valleys we cannot see. Those valleys are regions of higher dark matter density, subtle gravitational depressions sculpted by invisible mass. Galaxies drifted into these gravitational hollows, settling where dark matter was densest, gathering into groups, into clusters, into superclusters. The distribution we observe today is a gentle echo of dark matter's ancient blueprint. Cosmic filaments stretch between these clusters, long, sinuous bridges of dark matter and sparse gas, reaching across tens, even hundreds of millions of light-years. Within these filaments, galaxies flow like water along geological channels, drawn by the soft pull of gravity, guided by currents too slow for human senses, currents measured not in years but in billions of years. These filaments form the largest coherent structures in the observable universe, though structure may feel too rigid a word, for they are not hard lines, but gentle gradients of density, spreading, blending, shifting with time. From afar, the cosmic web resembles a lacework of faint light, a sprawling mesh, an interlocking network of nodes and threads, where every bright point marks a galaxy cluster, and every thread marks a river of matter slowly flowing toward those nodes. Yet all of this vast architecture, is held together by matter we cannot see, dark matter, the quiet sculptor of cosmic form. Where these filaments intersect, where currents of matter converge, galaxy clusters come into being, collections of hundreds, sometimes thousands of galaxies, bound together by the immense gravity of dark matter halos. A cluster sits within an invisible basin, a deep gravitational valley carved in the dark matter field, and the galaxies inside it orbit like fireflies caught in an unseen whirlpool. We can measure the depth of these valleys, not by seeing the dark matter itself, but by observing how fast the galaxies move within them. If only the visible matter were present, their movements would be slower, more restrained, but instead they race through these systems at astonishing speeds, evidence of a deeper, heavier gravitational anchor. That anchor is the dark matter halo enveloping the cluster, a smooth, rounded well of mass quietly holding everything in place. When astronomers map out the cosmic web, they do so by tracing light, but interpreting gravity. Light marks the galaxies. Gravity marks the dark matter. By observing how light bends and stretches as it travels past clusters and filaments, We reconstruct a picture of the invisible mass distribution, and what emerges, over and over, is the same serene geometry: sheets of matter, threads of matter, nodes of concentrated mass, and vast, gentle voids in between. The voids themselves are part of the design, immense regions where dark matter density is low, and galaxies are sparse, so empty and quiet, that a beam of light could travel through them for hundreds of millions of years without touching a single star. Yet even these voids serve a purpose, for they highlight the contrast, the relief, the gentle sculpture of mass around them. Where the voids end, the filaments begin, and where the filaments cross, the clusters blossom. The architecture is continuous, smooth, never jagged, never abrupt, an unfolding of mass shaped by gravity's patient hand. And inside this architecture, galaxies form, grow, evolve. They take shape within pockets of dark matter, regions where gravitational pressure slowly compresses gas, where rotation begins to stabilize clouds, where star formation ignites. Dark matter does not simply surround galaxies. It defines them, guides their formation, determines their morphology, influences their stability. Spirals, ellipticals, lenticular forms, all arise within dark matter halos. Without dark matter's quiet support, spiral galaxies would spin themselves apart, their outer regions moving too fast to remain bound. But instead, they hold together, their graceful arms extended, their stars orbiting in calm, orderly paths. Dark matter is the unseen tension in the fabric, the hidden strength that keeps the galaxy from unraveling. On larger scales, its influence becomes even more serene, an ordering principle rather than a sculpting force. Dark matter dictates where large-scale structure can form, and equally where it cannot. It channels matter along its gradients, encourages flow along filaments, and allows clusters to swell at convergence points. The result is an enormous cosmic lattice, a slow, grand interplay between gravity and expansion, where structure emerges only where dark matter has laid a foundation. Everything we see, every galaxy that glows, every cluster that shines, every arc of light bent by mass, exists because dark matter quietly organized the cosmos long before light filled it. Its gravity is not violent, not turbulent, but calm, steady, a quiet presence shaping the universe with the soft persistence of time itself. As we drift outward in imagination, the scale becomes harder to hold. The distance is too great to anchor in ordinary thought, but the web remains, stretching, connecting, forming subtle patterns across the cosmic expanse. This interconnectedness, this gentle linking of mass to mass, is one of the universe's most serene achievements. An invisible framework, vast beyond comprehension, yet delicate in its symmetry, elegant in its simplicity, and within it, light finds its pathways, galaxies find their homes, and the cosmos arranges itself into a quiet, harmonious design. In the vastness of cosmic space, shapes emerge not from light, but from gravity, softly arranging matter into forms so large that even imagination strains to hold them. The cosmic web continues to stretch outward before us, a quiet lattice rising from the darkness, its structure subtle, serene, almost contemplative in its geometry. Even though the filaments span hundreds of millions of light years, they are not rigid or abrupt, but smooth gradients of density, long, flowing channels of matter shaped by the patient pull of gravity. It is here, in the calm geometry of the cosmic web, that the universe reveals its deepest order. When cosmologists model this architecture, they see a pattern repeated across scales, from the smallest dark matter halos hosting dwarf galaxies to the enormous overdensities that cradle entire clusters. The geometry is fractal-like, but not chaotic, balanced and gentle, with each filament drawing matter toward its spine, and each spine connecting to a larger node, weaving the universe into an interconnected whole. If the cosmos were a quiet symphony, dark matter would be the underlying harmony, the low, continuous note supporting all the luminous melodies above it. Every galaxy, every star, every glowing arc of light we capture through telescopes, all of it flows along these invisible pathways, drawn by the gravitational contours laid down eons ago. The web is not turbulent, nor violent, but tranquil in its scale, a blueprint unfolding over billions of years, untainted by noise, unhurried by time. When we drift through a filament in imagination, we find galaxies spaced like lanterns along a winding road, each one carrying its own cluster of stars, yet together, cooperating without contact, shaped by the same gentle gravitational field. The filaments themselves are not thick, dense ropes, but gossamer threads of matter, tracing the highest density paths through the universe. Their cores composed of dark matter surrounded by thin envelopes of gas, a scaffold upon which galaxies slowly accumulate. Between the filaments lie immense voids, regions so empty that entire clusters could pass through without meeting a single galaxy. And yet these voids are not mistakes or absences. They are part of the cosmic geometry, balancing the structure, giving shape to the web through contrast. Just as the spaces between musical notes create harmony, the voids enhance the web, outlining its curves, highlighting the places where dark matter density blooms. In this harmony of presence and absence, clusters emerge as the brilliant knots of the cosmic tapestry, points where filaments converge, where gravity collects matter from every direction, where galaxies orbit within immense spherical halos of dark matter. A cluster's dark matter halo is smooth, rounded, shaped more by the calm accumulation of matter over billions of years than by abrupt events. The galaxies within it, thousands of them, move at extraordinary speeds, held in their paths by the deep gravitational basin beneath them, a basin composed primarily of dark matter. If we could float gently above such a cluster, outside the glare of its brightest galaxies, and let our senses dwell on the gravitational structure alone, we would feel a sense of falling inward, a soft descent into an invisible valley, a valley carved not by light or wind, but by mass so evenly distributed that it feels almost like a cosmic caress. The calm geometry of the cosmic web extends outward from these clusters, bridging the universe with filaments, linking cluster to cluster, forming a mesh that stretches across the entire observable cosmos. On these scales, the universe resembles a frozen foam, with galaxies clinging to the edges of bubbles and dark matter forming the surfaces, quietly defining the boundaries where structure can arise. The bubbles are the voids, the surfaces are the filaments. The intersections are the clusters. This is the architecture of everything we see, a gentle, interconnected design, balanced, harmonious, silent. Even as the universe expands, the web remains not rigid but persistent, its pattern stretching gracefully as space-time itself grows. Dark matter does not resist the expansion. It flows with it, yet its gravity maintains coherence, holding the filaments intact even as the distances between clusters increase. Gravity and expansion are not in conflict here, but partners, weaving a dynamic equilibrium, one that keeps the web from unraveling, even as the universe grows colder, older, more diffuse. The cosmic web breathes with the universe, its filaments thinning, its nodes drifting farther apart, yet the pattern endures, a quiet persistence across cosmic time. Within a single filament, galaxies gently fall toward one another, gathering slowly, forming groups and subclusters, their motions guided by the dark matter spine beneath them. The filament is like a riverbed, but one so vast its currents move across billions of years, so gentle that galaxies drift as though in a dream, never rushing, never colliding abruptly, simply following the quiet gravitational tilt of the universe. These slow flows shape the future, determining which galaxies will merge, which clusters will grow, and how matter will continue to arrange itself across the cosmic canvas. Even the Milky Way, nestled inside its dark matter halo, is part of a filament, one faint tendril of the Laniakea supercluster, a vast basin of mass containing tens of thousands of galaxies. Our home galaxy flows along this filament toward the great attractor, drawn by a collective gravitational pull produced not only by luminous matter, but by an immense reservoir of dark matter. We, too, are drifting along the geometry of the web, carried by the quiet rivers of gravitational force, part of a motion so vast and so slow that it becomes a kind of cosmic meditation. When cosmologists map this flow, they discover something remarkable. The structure of the web is astonishingly coherent, as though the universe prefers smoothness, prefers continuity, prefers gradients rather than edges. Dark matter does not pile up into sharp walls, nor does it disperse into chaos. It arranges itself into smooth contours, like dunes sculpted by invisible winds, forming basins, ridges, and channels that shape the paths of light and matter alike. This smoothness is one of the universe's quiet signatures, a reflection of gravity's patient hand, the natural result of billions of years of tranquil evolution. As we drift mentally across the cosmic landscape, from filament to cluster, from cluster to supercluster, The same theme returns again and again. Order. Quiet, gentle structure. The cosmic web is not merely a physical arrangement. It is a calm expression of the laws of gravity, the universe arranging itself into patterns of balance and flow, patterns too vast for eyes, yet deeply harmonious in their design. Dark matter gives the cosmos this structure, this architecture, this serene, interconnected shape, one that stretches across billions of light years, yet feels soft, almost delicate, when contemplated in the stillness of thought. The cosmic web stretches outward, beyond any boundary the mind can hold, a structure so immense that even the largest galaxies become mere flecks of light within it. And yet this vastness carries a remarkable softness, a calm geometry shaped only by the patient pull of gravity. When we step back, far beyond the scales of clusters and superclusters, the universe reveals an almost organic elegance, as though the cosmic web were a living tapestry. Breathing slowly across billions of years, every filament, every node, every quiet void in between, forms a pattern that is neither random nor rigid, but something in between, a delicate balance of attraction and expansion. Gravity draws matter inward, while the expansion of space gently stretches the distances between structures, and the interplay between these two influences creates a cosmic landscape that feels both fluid and ordered, both ancient and ever unfolding. To feel the true scale of this structure, imagine drifting far above the plane of the Milky Way, moving outward until our entire galaxy becomes a tiny whirl, a soft spiral of starlight suspended inside its dark matter halo. As we drift farther, the Milky Way merges with its neighbors, forming the local group, a quiet cluster of galaxies drifting together in gravitational harmony. Drifting farther still, the local group becomes only one point among thousands of points in the Laniakea supercluster, each point representing an entire galactic family, each one flowing along subtle gravitational streams. And even this great basin of matter, stretching 500 million light-years, is merely one tile in a mosaic of superclusters woven into the cosmic web. This is the soothing expansion of scale, a journey outward that does not overwhelm, but rather dissolves boundaries, blurring the lines between the near and the infinite, until the entire universe feels like a single continuous structure, quietly breathing in the dark. When cosmologists map the positions of hundreds of thousands of galaxies, they find that the cosmic web traces gentle arcs, curves, loops of matter that seem to flow naturally around the voids. There is a softness to these shapes, a smoothness with no sharp edges, no abrupt transitions, as though dark matter prefers to arrange itself in gradients rather than in cliffs. This smooth geometry arises from the nature of gravity itself, which accumulates matter slowly, drawing particles together through countless tiny interactions, each one too faint to notice, but together shaping the entire architecture of the universe. Just as dunes form from the gathering of individual grains of sand, dark matter halos form from the gathering of countless invisible particles, drifting, merging, settling into shapes determined by gravity's patient guidance. These halos become the anchors for galaxies, the roots from which luminous structures grow, turning the dark matter geometry into glowing constellations of stars. Clusters form where multiple filaments intersect, the densest points in the cosmic web, deep gravitational wells into which galaxies fall from every direction. Within a cluster, galaxies move at extraordinary speeds, thousands of kilometers per second, but the structure itself remains serene, because gravity holds the cluster in a calm, stable equilibrium. It is like watching a flock of birds, each one moving swiftly, yet the overall shape drifting gracefully through the sky, unhurried, beautiful in its cohesion. In the same way, dark matter shapes the motion of galaxies within clusters, creating a stillness beneath the movement, a stable gravitational basin so large and so deep that it governs the paths of billions of stars at once. Yet clusters themselves are only nodes, moments of density along far larger structures. Punctuation marks in the sentences of the cosmic web. The filaments between these clusters extend like the branches of a cosmic tree, but unlike tree branches, they do not grow from a central trunk. They emerge naturally from the way matter settled after the early universe cooled. Gravity pulled matter into long, thin channels, forming threads that stretch across the universe, not through forceful construction, but through the gentle collapse of overdensities. Dark matter led the way. its particles gathering into narrow strands long before atoms, stars, or galaxies existed. By the time light could finally move freely through the cosmos, the web's faint scaffolding was already in place, waiting to guide the luminous matter that would soon collect along its contours. This is why galaxies trace the same paths as dark matter, why they line up in filaments, why they cluster where filaments cross. Light follows gravity, and gravity follows mass, most of which is dark and silent. The voids between filaments are just as important. Their emptiness shapes the filament's curves, their lightness giving weight to the web structure. These voids are vast, spanning tens to hundreds of millions of light years, yet they are not featureless. They contain faint streams of dark matter, thin wisps too delicate to form galaxies, but still part of the universe's architecture. Drifting through a void feels like floating in the quietest ocean imaginable, a place where even the faint hum of starlight feels distant, a realm where gravity is gentle, subtle, pulling softly toward the nearest filament. These voids make the filaments stand out, just as silence makes music meaningful, or darkness makes stars shine brighter. The cosmic web is shaped as much by what is absent as by what is present, on the grandest scales we can imagine. The cosmic web resembles a neural network, a cosmic brain of filaments and nodes. But unlike biological networks, this structure is not the result of growth or adaptation, but the outcome of simple physical laws applied over vast stretches of time. Gravity does not rush, does not force, it simply waits, letting matter drift into shapes of calm equilibrium. The cosmic web, in this sense, is a portrait of gravity's patience, a map of the universe's slowest and most persistent processes, a record of the way structures form when given billions of years and the freedom to expand. Even at these incomprehensible scales, the geometry remains soothing, balanced, free of jagged edges or chaotic tangles. Filaments curve gently, voids spread smoothly, clusters gather matter without sharp boundaries. Everything is arranged as though the cosmos prefers serenity, prefers continuity, prefers slow transitions, as though it were designed to be contemplated in stillness. And perhaps this is why gazing into deep space brings such a profound sense of calm, because the universe itself is calm, structured, yet soft in its vastness. As our imagination continues drifting outward, past the largest filaments, beyond the deepest voids, we reach scales at which the entire observable universe becomes a single sphere of quiet structure. Even here, the cosmic web remains visible in simulations, a faint imprint on the largest canvas possible, the final expression of dark matter's gentle architecture. This is the soothing exploration of cosmic scale, a journey not toward complexity, but toward coherence, where every structure, from stars to galaxies to superclusters, is part of the same flowing design, a design drawn not in light, but in gravity, a design sculpted not quickly, but over billions upon billions of years, a design shaped by the unseen, quiet, invisible matter that forms the backbone of the universe. A universe once filled with a heat so intense that nothing recognizable could survive, slowly loosening its grip, slowly unfolding into something quieter and gentler. In that ancient softness, long before the first stars shimmered into existence, there existed a kind of stillness shaped not by light, but by gravity alone. A silence woven from dark matter. In those early moments, the universe was dense, warm, and glowing with the aftershocks of immense creation. But as it expanded, space began to cool, and the restless particles of ordinary matter drifted in a bright, churning fog. Yet through that fog, there was something deeper, something quieter, forming patterns long before atoms themselves could settle, patterns traced by the invisible weight of dark matter. Dark matter moved through that newborn cosmos without resistance, untouched by radiation, untouched by electromagnetic forces, untouched by the heat that filled everything else. And because it interacted so little, it began shaping the landscape of gravity itself, a landscape that ordinary matter would one day fall into, slowly, inevitably, and with exquisite precision. These gravitational depressions, subtle at first, grew stronger as the universe continued to expand, dark matter gathering into soft, diffuse halos, like invisible clouds suspended in the vastness. Ordinary matter, bathed in the cooling light of a universe becoming transparent, drifted gently toward those halos, drawn inward by the quiet pull of gravity, finding its place in valleys carved by something it could not see. And out of those valleys, the first structures began to emerge. not stars, not yet, but the seeds from which stars would eventually grow. These were the earliest regions where matter accumulated, where density increased, where the slow, steady, almost dreamlike pull of dark matter guided ancient particles into the beginnings of order. As ordinary matter cooled further, electrons finally found protons, and the universe allowed its first light to travel freely. A soft glow now stretched thin across the sky as the cosmic microwave background. Behind that glow, hidden within it, lay subtle patterns, gentle variations in temperature and density that marked the influence of dark matter's earlier gravitational shaping. Those patterns, those slight ripples frozen into ancient light, reveal a map of how the invisible first sculpted the visible, a map showing where dark matter had gathered more densely and where it had not, where valleys had formed and where peaks had emerged, where future galaxies would grow and where cosmic voids would remain empty and serene. In time, as matter fell deeper into these gravitational wells, pressure grew, temperatures rose, and the earliest stars ignited. Their light, brilliant yet delicate against the infinite dark, was guided entirely by the architecture that dark matter laid down before them. Each star, each cluster, each galaxy that emerged did so by following the invisible foundation that had already taken shape. And so, the earliest galaxies were not random, nor were they scattered without structure. They formed along the dark matter filaments, gathering in nodes, settling into halos, and filling the patterns that the unseen had carved in silence. Even today, billions of years later, the shapes of galaxies, the clusters they form, the superclusters that chain across the universe, all trace back to these early contours of dark matter's quiet influence. It is a humbling thought that the most luminous structures in existence, the great spirals, the glowing ellipticals, the massive clusters and arcs of galaxies, are merely the visible frosting on top of a much deeper, much older gravitational framework, a framework created in the first breaths of cosmic time. The universe that emerged from that early night was shaped, organized, and gently guided by dark matter long before atoms cooled, long before hydrogen clouds fell inward, long before the first stars unfolded their nuclear glow. Everything we see today, every star that has ever shined, exists because dark matter provided the gravitational blueprints, scaffolding carved into space itself. And so the first galaxies grew, quietly, patiently, expanding along invisible threads, drifting into the gentle curvature of halos, settling into the cosmic web that dark matter defined. Their light, though brilliant, could never reveal the deeper truth that it was the darkness that shaped them, that gathered them, that whispered their form into existence. Even now, in the calm of the present night sky, those galaxies continue to follow the contours of dark matter's ancient structures, moved not by wind nor light, but by the gravity of something that does not glow, something older than the stars themselves, something that shaped the earliest universe, in silence, and continues to shape the cosmos even now. In the cooling silence of the early universe, there came a moment when the thick fog of radiation finally began to thin, a moment when the light that had been trapped, scattered, absorbed, and re-emitted over and over was suddenly freed. Before that moment, light could not travel far. It bounced between charged particles like sound in a crowded room, never allowed to move in a straight line, never given space to drift. But as the vast cosmos expanded, the temperature fell, and something gentle, something transformative began to unfold. Electrons, once too energetic to stay bound, slowed enough to find protons and settle into orbit around them, forming the universe's first stable atoms. A soft, quiet pairing that changed everything. This era, this calm descent into neutrality, is known to us as recombination. Not dramatic, not explosive, but serene, like dew forming on the surface of a cooling world. And with the birth of those atoms, the universe became transparent. Light could finally move freely, gliding across space without interruption. That ancient light still surrounds us today, a faint, even glow stretched across the entire sky, softened by time, stretched by expansion, whispering the memory of a universe just beginning to breathe. We call it the cosmic microwave background, a fossilized radiance, a picture of the cosmos when it was young, still warm, still settling into its earliest structures. But hidden within that soft glow, within tiny variations no brighter than a few parts in 100,000, lies the unmistakable imprint of dark matter's early influence. Those slight ripples, those subtle temperature differences, are maps of the universe's first gravitational landscapes, carved by dark matter long before atoms cooled, long before the first stars kindled their light. In the faint hills and valleys of that ancient glow, we can see where dark matter gathered, where it formed deeper wells, where it created shallow plains, where matter would one day fall inward to become galaxies. It is in these small variations, this ancient whisper of structure, that the story of the earliest cosmos is recorded, delicate, precise, and shaped by the unseen. As the universe continued to expand, the dark matter halos grew denser, not through violent collisions, but through the quiet pull of gravity, drawing ordinary matter deeper into their invisible contours. Hydrogen and helium, the simple gases of the early universe, flowed gently into those gravitational basins, filling them like mist settling into valleys at dawn. Gradually, slowly, imperceptibly, the densities grew, the clouds thickened, and pressure began to rise. Within those growing pockets, the first stars were born. These stars, the first to shine in the universe, were unlike the stars of today. They were immense, burning through their fuel quickly, pouring radiation into the darkness around them. Their ultraviolet light began to reionize the hydrogen gas, reawakening the charged particles that recombination had calmed and reshaping the transparency of the universe once again. But this cycle, this awakening, was guided entirely by the underlying framework of dark matter. Where dark matter wells were deep, stars formed early and abundantly, creating the first galaxies, the first clusters, the first organized structures of luminous matter. Where dark matter was sparse, the cosmic landscape remained quiet. Vast regions opened into emptiness, voids stretching across millions of light years, calm, serene, undisturbed. The earliest galaxies took shape within these halos, their stars forming around the invisible mass, their rotation guided by gravitational patterns laid down in the primordial night. In this way, dark matter did not merely influence the first galaxies, it defined them, shaping their size, their structure, their distribution across space. Every galaxy you can imagine, from the small, faint dwarfs to the vast, spiraling giants, formed as a response to dark matter's silent architecture. The luminous matter simply filled the mold, and as galaxies formed, they did not grow in isolation. They gathered along the same invisible threads we see today, filaments stretching across unimaginable distances, linking halos to halos, clusters to clusters. These filaments were already present, already shaped by dark matter's early motion, carved out during the first slow dance of gravity. It is along these threads that galaxies moved, merging, evolving, and building larger structures, guided softly by the unseen. Imagine that early universe, a vast and ancient darkness, punctuated by the first starlight, each beacon woven into place by a gravitational design older than the stars themselves. The first galaxies were like islands of light in an ocean of dark matter, their motion, their clustering, their very formation, all following the gentle geometry of invisible mass. And even in the present night sky, those same early patterns remain, elongated filaments, deep voids, massive clusters anchored in dark matter basins. The universe remembers its beginnings and carries them forward in its structure. Without dark matter, there would be no early gravitational wells, no gathering places for gas, no stars igniting in the cosmic dawn, no galaxies forming along the web, no grand structures weaving themselves into existence. The early universe, left only to ordinary matter, would have remained too smooth, too evenly spread, to collapse into anything complex. Dark matter offered contrast, offered shape, offered gravity strong enough to sculpt the first cosmic features. It made the universe uneven in the most beautiful way, introducing the gentle seeds of structure from which everything luminous would one day grow. And so, the earliest chapters of the cosmos were written not in light, but in gravity, in quiet motion, in invisible forms drifting through a warm and expanding sea. Dark matter shaped the first galaxies, nurtured the first stars, and laid the foundations for every luminous structure the universe would ever create. Its influence was not loud, not forceful, but soft, persistent, and elegantly patient, a whisper that became a framework that became a cosmos. In the quiet spaces beneath the earth, far below the noise of cities, far below the trembling of footsteps and the subtle hum of human life, There are chambers carved into stone where darkness feels almost ancient, places where silence is not merely the absence of sound, but a kind of patient waiting. These underground sanctuaries exist for a single purpose: to listen for something that does not speak, does not shine, does not touch light or leave a mark on any surface, something that drifts through rock, through mountains, through the entire earth, as effortlessly as a photon slips through glass. In these deep laboratories, enormous detectors rest in still pools of ultra-pure water, or in tanks filled with noble gases cooled to near silence, their sensors tuned to vibrations so faint they border on the impossible. Here, scientists wait for a whisper of dark matter, a fleeting nudge, a soft collision that might occur only once in years. Even then, the signal would be delicate, a pulse so subtle it would resemble the ghost of a snowflake touching a window. But in the quiet, such a touch becomes meaningful. It becomes a possibility. Above the Earth, far beyond the reach of winds or weather, satellites sweep across the sky, each carrying detectors that observe the universe not through light, but through patterns, energies, and gentle imbalances. Some observe the glow of the cosmos itself, the faint microwave afterglow that fills the universe like a quiet breath. Others watch the sky for gamma rays, for cosmic particles, for the slight distortions in cosmic radiation that might hint at dark matter interacting with itself, or decaying, or leaving behind a subtle fingerprint. These signals are not loud, they are not dramatic. They are like a slow drift in temperature, a tiny ripple across a sea of cosmic calm. Yet even such small changes can tell a story. Across the largest scales, where galaxies cluster like islands, where light bends and stretches in arcs around unseen mass, another form of detection emerges: gravitational lensing, a quiet, natural tool, a phenomenon where gravity gently reshapes the path of light. Light from distant galaxies flows toward us through invisible valleys, through ridges of dark matter that alter its journey without ever touching it. Astronomers map these distortions, tracing arcs and warps, collecting them into vast, delicate patterns. And from those patterns, the hidden mass emerges, not in the form of an image, but in a soft, gravitational impression, as if the universe were leaving fingerprints on the fabric of space, prints that only the patient eye and the quiet mind can decipher. Detecting dark matter is challenging not because it is rare, but because it is quiet. Protons, electrons, atoms, all chatter constantly, exchanging photons, interacting with fields, dancing in electrical storms. Dark matter does none of this. It simply drifts. It is present everywhere, yet refuses to touch the world in ways we find familiar. Trying to detect it is like trying to hear a single, silent leaf fall in the middle of a storm, not because the leaf is small, but because it makes no sound. So scientists build detectors in silence, burrow beneath mountains to escape cosmic noise, cool their instruments to temperatures where motion nearly stops. They create oceans of stillness, hoping that one day a dark matter particle will brush against an atom, and that atom will answer back with the faintest whisper. There is a kind of gentleness in this search, a recognition that the universe does not always reveal itself loudly or immediately. Some mysteries require patience, not because they are hidden, but because they are subtle. The search for dark matter is a lesson in stillness, an invitation to slow down, to let the universe speak in its quietest voice. Each year, detectors grow more sensitive, maps of lensing become more detailed, satellites return deeper, more delicate measurements, not through force, but through listening, through refining the art of attention, through treating the cosmos not as a puzzle to be conquered, but as a symphony whose softest notes must be honored. The serenity of scientific patience is not passive, it is an active, mindful calm, a calm that accepts that some truths drift like dark matter itself, passing through generation after generation, waiting for the right moment, the right detection, the right idea. In this patience there is hope. Hope that the silent halo around the Milky Way will one day reveal its particles, that a detector deep underground will register a single, unmistakable signal, that a satellite will glimpse an anomaly in the cosmic background. Hope that the invisible will finally place a gentle hand on the visible, just long enough for us to understand. And as the search continues, as the experiments deepen, as the quiet listening grows more refined, the universe remains calm. Dark matter continues to drift, unbothered, unhurried, holding galaxies in its gravitational embrace, shaping the cosmic web, guiding the light of ancient stars. Even without detection, it continues its silent work. A reminder that not all things need to be seen to be real, and not all truths need to be loud to be profound. Science listens, and the cosmos waits, both patient, both unwavering, together tracing the faint boundary between the known and the unseen, a boundary softened by silence, made gentle by time. And so, the search continues, deep beneath the earth, high above the sky, and across the vast geometry of the universe, quietly, calmly, with a sense of wonder that never fades, and a patience that mirrors the slow drifting of dark matter itself. There are moments in science when the familiar laws that cradle our understanding seem to soften at the edges, moments when the equations that describe the pull of gravity, the arc of a star's orbit, the quiet dance of galaxies in the deep night, feel as though they are whispering that something is missing. Not untrue, not broken, just incomplete. As if the universe holds its breath in certain places and asks us to listen more carefully. In that stillness, a different possibility emerges. Maybe the unseen mass we attribute to invisible matter is not a hidden ocean of particles at all, but a gentle shift in how gravity behaves in the faintest, slowest, widest regions of space. Modified Newtonian dynamics, MOND, begins with a simple observation wrapped in cosmic quiet. When acceleration becomes extremely small, when stars drift through the outskirts of galaxies, where the force of gravity is as thin as a sigh, Newton's familiar law seems to slip slightly, as though the cosmic fabric becomes more flexible, more responsive than expected. Not in a chaotic way, but in a calm, predictable pattern, one that allows galaxies to rotate with the grace we observe, without the need for vast halos of invisible mass. It is a hypothesis born not of rebellion but of curiosity, the same curiosity that shaped the earliest scientific dreams, the gentle desire to ask, what if gravity itself changes character in the quietest corners of the cosmos? If dark matter is a whisper, MOND is a shift in the air around the whisper. It proposes no new particles, no hidden seas of unseen clouds, no vast halos drifting silently around galaxies. Instead, it softens the law of attraction when accelerations fall below a certain threshold, an almost meditative adjustment, subtle, like the way a distant echo fades not linearly but with a curve. And in that gentle curve, galaxies spin in agreement with what we measure, their stars held in place not by invisible mass but by a gravity that bends ever so slightly from the classical form. Some scientists see beauty in this, a clean, mathematical stillness, a way to explain the motions of galaxies without invoking an unseen majority of the universe. Others see its limits, the places where galaxy clusters, lensing maps, and the early universe's delicate structure do not easily align with this softer gravitational law. And yet, MOND persists, not as a replacement for dark matter, but as a question that never fully closes, a door left slightly ajar, as if the cosmos wants us to consider that the truth may be more layered than any single idea. From this quiet threshold, another perspective emerges, a vision of gravity not as a force transmitted across space, but as a relationship, something woven into the geometry of existence itself. Relational theories whisper that mass and motion do not simply respond to gravity, but help define it. Space curves, time stretches, paths bend, not as reactions to invisible weight, but as intrinsic patterns in the fabric that connects everything. In this view, gravity becomes a dialogue between the structure of space and the presence of objects within it, a conversation too subtle for the senses, yet written into every orbit, every falling leaf, every circling star. Particles are not required because the curvature itself carries the story. These ideas do not dismiss the unseen, they reinterpret it, not as matter drifting silently through the Milky Way, but as the shape that space chooses to take. The valleys and hills in the gravitational landscape become features not carved by hidden mass, but sculpted by the universe's own geometry, a gentle alternative to the sprawling halos of dark matter that dominate the standard picture. Why do scientists explore these paths, these quiet detours off the main road, these models where gravity softens or curves differently, or emerges from relationships rather than invisible particles? Because the universe invites it. Because every unexplained rotation curve, every delicate lensing arc, every ripple in cosmic structure reminds us that the cosmos rarely reveals itself all at once. And the truth may be spacious enough to hold more than one way of understanding. Curiosity does not end when a dominant model succeeds. It expands. Even when dark matter fits the large-scale picture with elegant consistency, the possibility of alternative gravity remains a soft thread of inquiry, a gentle voice reminding us that the universe may have layers we do not yet know how to see. In this quiet realm of thought, the cosmos becomes even more mysterious and more serene. Gravity, the force that holds galaxies together, that shapes the orbits of planets, that tugs on our own bodies every moment of our lives, may not be a single unchanging rule, but a flowing pattern, subtle, adaptive, responsive, in ways we have not yet learned to measure. A gravitational field could strengthen or weaken not only because of mass, but because of the way space itself chooses to curve. A galaxy could rotate with soft coherence, even without a halo of unseen particles. A cluster could bind itself through geometric relationships woven into space-time. These ideas come not from speculation, but from equations as calm as starlight, tested, refined, questioned, held up to the night sky to see whether they reflect what the universe displays. Some versions imagine gravity as an emergent property, arising the way temperature emerges from countless motion particles, not fundamental but collective. In that picture, space becomes a kind of cosmic medium, woven from information or quantum states or geometric relationships. And gravity is the soft tendency of that medium to flow toward equilibrium. This vision invites the possibility that the unseen effects attributed to dark matter may arise not from particles, but from the deep structure of space itself, the way an ocean's currents form without needing hidden winds. To sit with these ideas is to sit in the quiet company of curiosity, to rest in the awareness that science grows not only through answers, but through the willingness to let the unknown breathe. Perhaps dark matter is real, a vast invisible architecture holding galaxies gently in place. Perhaps gravity shifts its form in the faintest fields, softening as stars drift through the outskirts of spirals. Perhaps space itself is a deeper tapestry than our current equations describe. The universe does not hurry, and neither must we. All possibilities unfold with the same calm patience that shaped the cosmic web, the same stillness that carries light across billions of years, the same quiet symmetry that lets stars trace their orbits in the velvet dark. As we drift deeper into this mystery, one feeling remains constant, a sense of wonder as spacious as the night sky, the thought that the universe may be stranger, softer, more intricate than any single model can capture, a reminder that knowledge is not an end but a gentle journey, and every unanswered question is a place to rest, to breathe, to listen, to dream. And so we allow these ideas to settle, not as replacements nor certainties, but as possibilities, quiet companions in the long, slow exploration of the cosmos. Let the mind drift through the soft curves of gravity, through the unknown shapes of space, through the gentle truth that the universe invites us not to rush toward answers, but to move with it in silence and curiosity and infinite calm. In the quiet immensity of the cosmos, where space stretches like a calm and endless ocean, a subtle balance unfolds between forces that shape the future of everything. A balance between what pulls and what pushes, between the gravity that gathers matter together and the strange, accelerating pressure that seems to push space itself apart. In this gentle tension, dark matter plays a role far deeper than its invisibility would suggest. It guides the structure of the universe not only in the present moment but across timescales so vast, they drift far beyond the reach of human imagination. Timescales measured not in millions of years or billions, but in trillions and beyond. When we look out at the universe today, we see galaxies still forming, clusters still pulling together, filaments still stretching across the cosmic web. But deep beneath these visible processes, beneath the swirling light of stars and the delicate glow of intergalactic gas, lies the quiet foundation of dark matter, a gravitational framework that quietly holds cosmic history in place. Its presence shapes not only how galaxies behave now, but how they will evolve, age, and eventually drift into the far future. The influence begins with gravity, that slow and gentle curvature of space-time, the universal whisper that guides all mass along its pathways. Dark matter, with its immense gravitational contribution, sets the overall structure of how matter is arranged. It gathers galaxies into clusters, clusters into superclusters, and superclusters into filaments that span hundreds of millions of light years. These filaments, these cosmic threads, are like frozen rivers connecting islands of galaxies, carrying the imprint of dark matter's invisible hand. As time flows forward, these structures evolve, slowly, inevitably. As gravity deepens the wells that dark matter began shaping billions of years ago. Yet even as gravity works to tighten these structures, another influence moves quietly in the background, growing, spreading, changing the destiny of the universe. Dark energy, a soft, persistent acceleration in the expansion of the cosmos, a gentle outward drift that grows stronger with time, quietly separating galaxies, stretching space, and expanding the distance between everything. Dark matter and dark energy form a strange, delicate balance. One gathers, the other disperses. One builds structure, the other thins the cosmic fabric. Together, they dictate how the universe will move into the future, how clusters will evolve, how galaxies will drift, and how the cosmic web will slowly stretch into something quieter, more isolated, more serene. Across the next tens of billions of years, galaxy clusters will remain bound, held together by the deep gravitational wells carved by dark matter. But everything outside these clusters, every galaxy not gravitationally anchored, will drift farther and farther away. The accelerating expansion will gently pull them beyond the horizon of visibility, until distant galaxies fade into a darkness so complete they become unreachable forever. Yet the clusters themselves, the structures held by dark matter, will remain intact. In these islands of gravity, stars will continue forming, living and dying, as the universe around them becomes emptier and colder. Dark matter preserves these gravitational sanctuaries, allowing structures to persist even as the universe expands towards solitude. As trillions of years pass, stars will grow rarer, fuel will diminish, and galaxies will slowly dim. But the dark matter that surrounds them, the vast halos that hold them together, will continue exerting their quiet gravitational presence. Even as the light fades, dark matter remains, a silent scaffold, a stabilizing geometry in a universe drifting into deeper darkness. In the far, far future, when stars no longer shine with the brilliance we know today, galaxies will transform into collections of faint embers, white dwarfs, neutron stars, and black holes. Still held in their ancient orbits, still bound by the gravitational wells woven by dark matter, the cosmic architecture remains long after the luminous parts fade. And so, the universe becomes a place shaped largely by what cannot be seen. The gravitational pull of dark matter will still guide the slow motions of remnants, still influence how the last black holes drift, how the last faint heat moves through the cosmos, how matter settles into stable, quiet configurations. As time stretches even further, past the lifetimes of stars, past the eras of light, the cosmos enters an age where black holes dominate. Dark matter, still present, still massive, continues to influence these objects as they drift through space. And eventually, even the black holes begin to evaporate, dissolving into a faint mist of radiation over unimaginable timescales. Yet the gravitational roles they played, the patterns they followed, the ways they moved, were shaped all along by the early imprint of dark matter, a memory embedded in the motion of the universe. In these incomprehensibly distant eras, the large-scale structure of the cosmos becomes very simple and very quiet. Bound clusters may remain as long-lived oases, but everything beyond their reach will have drifted away, lost in the accelerating expansion, permanently separated. Dark matter ensures that some structures endure, while dark energy ensures that the universe as a whole becomes more isolated, more diffuse, more calm. It is a future that unfolds not with violence, but with stillness, a gradual dimming, a slow drifting apart, like a breath exhaled across eternity. The presence of dark matter also shapes how long galaxies can remain gravitationally stable, how dark energy will influence their separation, and how the cosmic web will eventually loosen, thin, and gently dissolve. Its influence is not dramatic, not explosive, but steady, foundational, like the soft weight of a hand resting on the fabric of space-time. Even in a universe growing colder and quieter, dark matter remains the quiet guide, the reason structures hold together, the reason galaxies have shape, the reason clusters remain bound in the endless future. It is the unseen architect not only of the universe we know, but of the universe yet to come, a presence woven into the destiny of everything, from the first tiny fluctuations in the primordial night to the distant ages when starlight has faded into memory. In this vision of the far future, dark matter is not merely a hidden ingredient, but the enduring backbone of cosmic time. The calm gravitational embrace that keeps galaxies connected, that holds clusters together, that ensures the universe will always carry the imprint of structure, even as the heavens grow silent. It is a strange kind of immortality, a persistence of influence across time so vast, so serene, that it becomes almost meditative to contemplate. The universe drifts onward, and dark matter drifts with it, quietly shaping futures that lie far beyond the boundaries of human experience. And as the cosmos continues to expand, as light itself becomes rare, and matter grows ever more sparse, the unseen will remain the guiding force, the soft architecture beneath the fading glow. A presence felt not through sight, but through the calm pull of gravity, through the patterns that persist, through the structures that remain, long after the luminous universe has dimmed. It is the quiet promise that even in the deepest darkness there is form, there is order, there is something that binds, something invisible and eternal. The night grows softer, and the universe settles into its ancient rhythm, a rhythm older than stars, older than galaxies, older than the quiet light that crosses the dark to reach your eyes, and somewhere within this vast and gentle expanse, you drift, held by the calm weight of everything unseen and everything known, together, woven into one tranquil whole. The cosmos has always been both familiar and mysterious, a quiet mixture of certainty and wonder, a balance between what science reveals with clarity and what still lies beyond the reach of every telescope, every detector, every theory. And it is within this space, this meeting point between knowledge and mystery, that the mind can finally rest. When astronomers map the sky, they see brilliant islands of starlight, clusters glowing like embers, filaments stretching like cosmic rivers of gold. Yet beneath all of it, supporting everything, shaping everything, there is a deeper structure, quiet, invisible, soft as a whisper across the void. It is the unseen mass, the hidden architecture, the gentle gravity that holds the universe in its arms. And even though you cannot see it, you feel its presence through the calm regularity of the night, through the delicate balance of cosmic motion, and through the simple comfort of knowing that something steady, something ancient, has been here all along, silently guiding the great celestial drift. The universe is not made only of what shines. It is built from silence, from stillness, from the subtle pull of things that never reveal themselves in light. And within that darkness, there is a peace, a softness, a sense that existence is deeper than what vision alone can hold. As you breathe, slowly, gently, you become part of that calm darkness, a quiet observer floating within the vastness held not by the brightness of stars, but by the gravity of the unseen, by the quiet assurance that the cosmos moves with purpose, with balance, with a serenity that mirrors your own steady heartbeat. Across unimaginable distances, galaxies drift farther apart, carried by the expansion of space, yet the structures they formed long ago, the clusters, the filaments, the grand cosmic web, remain shaped by the gentle pull of invisible mass. Even in the far future, when starlight becomes rare, when galaxies fade into the dark, the quiet architecture sculpted by the unseen will remain, a memory written into the geometry of space, a softness preserved in the silence between distant worlds. The night sky you see now, full of faint glimmers, is a momentary expression of a universe that is always changing, yet always held together by something constant, something patient, something without edges or boundaries, a presence that does not shine, but supports, does not glow, but guides. And in this gentle truth, there is a kind of comfort, because the unknown does not have to be frightening, it can be soothing, a reminder that mystery exists not to trouble us, but to surround us with endless depth, endless possibility, endless room for wonder. The cosmos is a mixture of light and shadow, of equations we understand, and questions we can only whisper about. It is a reminder that knowledge grows like a soft wave, expanding outward, touching new shores, and then pausing, allowing our curiosity to drift ahead before the next gentle advancement. the next discovery, the next quiet revelation. And as you rest, you are part of this calm unfolding, a mind drifting among galaxies, a small but conscious piece of the universe, reflecting on itself, through thought, through breath, through the simple act of being. Every star that has ever formed, every galaxy that has ever bloomed in the dark, every cloud of dust, particle, planet, and beam of ancient radiation has been shaped by forces you cannot see. Guided by the silent mass that permeates all of space, a presence that neither glows nor speaks, yet holds everything, so gently, so completely, that even the farthest clusters feel its pull. And just as the cosmos is held by this unseen structure, you too can rest in the comfort of the unknown, knowing that you do not need every answer to feel safe or grounded or at peace. There is a softness in accepting mystery, a calm in realizing that the universe is vast enough to cradle both knowledge and uncertainty, without conflict, without urgency, only harmony. The unseen is not empty. It is full of potential, full of quiet order, full of ancient weight. And in that hidden weight there is a kind of cosmic embrace, a support that extends across billions of light years, holding galaxies together, holding clusters together, holding space itself in a delicate balance. And in a small, gentle way, holding you here in this moment, breathing softly, resting within the infinite. The universe drifts forward, unhurried, balanced between light and shadow, between expansion and gravity, between what we understand and what we have yet to imagine, and you drift with it, floating on currents older than time, wrapped in the quiet, the stillness, the endless night. Let yourself sink into that calm, that sense of scale, where questions become gentle instead of sharp, where curiosity becomes a warm glow, where the unknown becomes a soft pillow for the mind. The cosmos is vast, but it is also peaceful. And in its peace, you find your own, a quiet alignment with the rhythms that shape galaxies, with the gravity that sculpts the stars, with the silence that fills the spaces in between. Rest now, in the gentle weight of the unseen, in the soft architecture that cradles all things, in the mystery that watches over the night and over you. Letting thoughts drift like faint starlight, letting the universe carry you through darkness, through stillness, through infinite calm, and deeper still. The universe drifts through ages of quiet transformation, moving with a serenity that feels almost like breathing, a slow expansion, a soft unfolding, a gentle stretching of space itself. And within that vast rhythm, there is a place for rest, for stillness, for letting go. In the calm between galaxies, in the silence between stars, there is a kind of cosmic reassurance, an understanding that not everything must be illuminated, that not everything must be solved, that the unknown can hold you just as softly as the known, perhaps even more so, because within the unknown there is space, room to breathe, room to wonder, room to simply be. The night sky you see, however faint its glow, is a meeting point of clarity and mystery, of equations and imagination, of what humanity has measured and what the universe still keeps folded within its deeper layers, and the balance between those two realms, the understood and the unexplained, is not a tension, but a harmony, a quiet duet across the ages. Sometimes answers illuminate the mind, and sometimes mystery soothes it, like a soft darkness settling around you, like the hush of distant starlight that doesn't need to be bright to be beautiful. As you rest, you drift into alignment with that cosmic balance, no urgency, no struggle, only gentle drifting, as if the whole universe were holding its breath, cradling you in the silence between its heartbeats. The known universe is magnificent, full of structure and logic, full of elegant details that scientists have uncovered piece by piece, gravitational arcs, stellar life cycles, the quiet coding of cosmic background light. These are the parts of existence we have illuminated, the patterns we have traced with careful observation, the truths we have brought from darkness into understanding. But there is more, always more, hidden not in hostility, but in depth, waiting not for fear, but for curiosity. And in that vast region of the unknown, there is comfort, because you do not need to solve everything tonight, or tomorrow, or ever. The universe does not demand certainty. It simply invites you to witness, to imagine, to drift through its mysteries with an open mind, letting them flow around you like the soft motion of interstellar clouds. As you breathe, slowly, deeply, you become part of this gentle exchange, the merging of the known and the unknowable. the merging of thought and silence, awareness and rest, like two currents of cosmic dust meeting in a quiet swirl of possibility. The cosmos has carried its mysteries for billions of years, and will carry them for billions more, never rushing, never pushing, only drifting, like a soft tide across infinite shores. And just as the universe moves without hurry, you too can sink into that pace, letting your thoughts slow, letting your body soften, letting the vastness of existence give you space to rest. There is beauty in the idea that the universe does not require your vigilance, only your presence. There is peace in knowing that the cosmos unfolds on timescales beyond worry, beyond urgency, beyond any single lifetime. And as you settle deeper into calm, you begin to feel that long cosmic timescale, stretching gently around you, like a horizon with no edge, no boundary, only openness and quiet. The stars will continue to drift, galaxies will continue to spiral, dark matter will continue to guide their motion with its gentle gravity, and you, here, in this moment, can simply rest, knowing that everything moves as it must, that the universe carries on with or without your interference, that you can let go and fall into stillness, just as easily as a star falls into orbit. The unknown does not threaten you, it holds you. The mystery of the universe is not a void, but a cradle, a soft container for imagination, for dreams, for the quiet unfolding of thought. It is the gentle dark in which galaxies formed, in which stars first ignited, in which everything that has ever existed found its beginning and its path. As the cosmos drifts through time, you drift with it, floating on currents woven from gravity and silence, from structure and openness, from certainty and curiosity intertwined, carried forward by forces older than memory, older than atoms, older than light. You do not need to understand all of it. You only need to drift, to breathe, to let your mind become as spacious as the night, free of edges, free of resistance, free to wander, like starlight crossing a calm and infinite sky. Curiosity, when softened, becomes peace, not a reaching toward answers, but a gentle openness, a willingness to float in the mystery, without needing to grasp it, without needing to define it, only to be present within it. Like a small particle resting in a giant, quiet halo, surrounded by the unseen, but never alone. The comfort of cosmic mystery is this: you are allowed not to know, you are allowed to rest within wonder, to embrace questions without needing to resolve them, to let the universe be vast, and let yourself be small without fear, because smallness does not mean insignificance, it means belonging, it means being part of something limitless, woven into the fabric of existence, carried gently through space and time. Let yourself drift now, slowly, softly, into that spaciousness, into that connection with everything hidden, everything known, everything waiting, like distant stars shimmering beneath the horizon of thought. The universe moves forward, and you move with it, held in the gravity of the unseen, wrapped in the quiet of cosmic night, at peace with the gentle weight of everything unknown and everything understood, blending into one quiet continuum, a lullaby woven from real science and endless mystery. The universe has always been made of two intertwined realms, the part we understand and the part we can only sense in silhouette, a gentle merging of clarity and shadow, an endless conversation between knowledge and mystery. And it is in this blending, this soft overlap, that the cosmos reveals its deepest calm, because the unknown is not an emptiness, but a presence, a silent companion to everything we have learned, like the dark matter that surrounds galaxies, shaping them quietly, without needing to be seen. When you breathe slowly, you join that quiet balance, the way light joins darkness in the night sky, the way galaxies float through halos of the unseen, the way thought drifts into silence and becomes something softer, something wider, something willing to rest. You begin to understand, not with words but with feeling, that the universe is not made of puzzles demanding solutions, but of patterns unfolding at their own pace, inviting you to witness, to drift, to feel the gentle weight of existence without needing to hold it tightly. The known universe is vast, brimming with stars, with structures, with laws that describe everything from quarks to clusters. We map it, measure it, name its forces, trace its arcs. But even at its most illuminated, the cosmos remains wrapped in the unseen, the unquantified, the unreachable, and strangely that incompleteness is soothing. For it means the story is still unfolding, and that your place within it does not depend on certainty, but on openness, on the quiet willingness to drift with the unknown, like a small moon carried by the gravity of a larger world. As you settle deeper, your thoughts begin to widen, stretching out like faint starlight over an endless horizon. You drift between what you know and what you simply feel, immersed in that soft merging, that cosmic blend, where mystery becomes gentle, where questions become restful, where the night sky becomes a cradle rather than a challenge. Dark matter, the invisible architecture of everything, holds galaxies in its silent embrace, and in its quiet presence there is a lesson, something unspoken, yet familiar, that not everything that supports you must be visible. Not everything that shapes your life must be understood. Some things simply hold you, quietly, steadily, like gravity, like darkness, like the soft unknown around you now. The universe drifts forward, not hurriedly, not urgently, but with a calmness woven into its fabric, stars orbiting slowly, galaxies sailing through space, clusters gliding along filaments older than memory. Everything moves, but nothing rushes. And you, in this moment, are invited into that same rhythm, into that cosmic slowness, into that peace. Let your thoughts move like galaxies, slow spirals through a gentle medium. Let your breath drift like cosmic dust, rising, falling, settling. Let your awareness expand without effort, like the universe itself, growing softly into the unknown, without strain, without tension, and without boundaries. The far future of the cosmos stretches out in a quiet arc, trillions of years, then trillions more, an almost endless horizon of slow evolution, structures changing, stars fading, galaxies drifting apart. But even in that distant future, there is stillness. There is space, there is calm, because cosmic time is vast enough to hold every possibility, every transformation, every mystery, without losing its serenity. And as you drift in your own small moment, you become part of that deep timeline, not by effort, but by simply existing, simply being, simply breathing. Dark matter, the unseen framework, will continue shaping the fate of galaxies long after every star you know has dimmed. And in that knowledge, there is something comforting. A reminder that the universe does not depend on you to hold it together, that you can release every worry, every thought, every tension, and the cosmos will continue, peacefully, quietly, carrying you with it. Let yourself drift even deeper now, into a space where thought dissolves into feeling, where feeling dissolves into quiet, where quiet dissolves into something expansive and soft, like the dark between stars, not empty, but full of possibility, full of unseen presence, full of gentle gravity drawing you inward, toward rest, toward stillness, toward sleep. The universe is always larger than your questions, and always softer than your fears. It stretches in every direction, across time and matter, across light and silence, and somehow this immeasurable immensity holds you gently, as if you were part of its design, woven into its structure, a small but essential thread in its vast tapestry. Curiosity, when allowed to soften, becomes peace. It becomes a way of resting inside the unknown, without needing to conquer it. It becomes a quiet trust, a recognition that you don't need every answer, because the universe itself is not hurried, because the unknown is not an adversary, but a companion, a soft darkness that surrounds you, supports you, and gives you room to dream. And so as you drift not into emptiness, but into a cosmos that holds both clarity and shadow, both knowledge and wonder, both the illuminated and the unseen, all blending into a single gentle wholeness, a wholeness you are part of, a wholeness that includes you, without conditions, without requirements, without judgment. The night grows quieter, the stars seem calmer, your breath falls into rhythm with a universe that has been breathing for billions of years, expanding, softly, endlessly, and in that rhythm you find rest, you find ease, you find release. You drift now, as galaxies drift, slowly, peacefully, through halos of the unseen, carried by forces too gentle to feel, but too vast to escape. The same forces that cradle you now as you settle, as you soften, as you let yourself fall into the deep quiet of cosmic night. The universe holds you in its gravity, in its mystery, in its silence, and as you fall toward rest, you fall toward a peace as wide as the stars, as calm as interstellar space, as soft as the unseen matter that binds galaxies together. Here, in this moment, you merge with the rhythm of the cosmos, with everything known, everything unknown, and everything waiting in the gentle dark, and slowly, quietly, you let go, drifting into sleep, like starlight fading beyond a distant horizon, softly, endlessly, peacefully.